Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay indeed, Jimmie. Yay indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. An immense amount. We're so excited.
Yeah.
We are. We're excited today for Crime and Sports. Why are we excited? Especially because between Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder, this is our 500th podcast episode.
Wow.
So we're pretty excited. Our 500th together, not counting bonuses and all that. I mean, you can throw another 100-something in there for that. But in terms of release to the public, free, stuff, it's number 500 between this and Small Town Murder. So thank you, everybody out there, for allowing us to last 500 episodes so far.
Unbelievable.
So we appreciate it. When we started, we didn't know if we'd last 5. So to make it to 500, we're pretty goddamn excited. And to 266 Crime and Sports, as a matter of fact. So we're jacked today. We have a weird episode today. For 500, I'm like, we're going to switch it up a little bit.
Good.
Last week, it was like, kind of the tried and true Crime and Sports formula of like Big Four sport.
Yeah.
Baseball, basketball, football, hockey, Big Four U.S. sport. Baseball player did this, did that, blah, 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 ran over a guy's head. Very standard.
Yeah.
This not standard in the least. This is one of our strange episodes, so I'm very excited for it. First, before we get started, I want to thank everyone who's for 266 episodes of these, but 500 total episodes, giving us your reviews. They do help a lot. If you haven't done it yet, do that. Apple Podcast for 500. It's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say. Just say something. Give us 5 stars. It helps a lot. So do that. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for everything Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder. All your merchandise you're going to get there. We have everything. There's you name it. There's bags and cups and mugs and shower curtains and floor mats and blankets and shoes and you name it, it's on there. So check that out and get all your merchandise. New stuff up all the time. Get your tickets to live shows.
Oh, you better.
Because we sure hope they're coming back here in the fall. We are dying to be on the road. We're telling you, we're dying to do this. So get your tickets there.
Fucking unbelievable.
We know they're going fast, so get up there and get your tickets now. So some of them have been on sale for a year and a half, and with delays and everything. So a lot of them were pretty heavily sold back then. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. So much going on this week. Ooh, man, it's a banner week on Patreon this week.
Right.
A couple of really fun ones, and you get access to all the Patreon for Crime and Sports and Small Town Murder, anybody over the $5 level. For the Crime and Sports episode, we are going to talk about the congressional steroid investigation back in was it 2005 and 6 and all that, where Rafael Palmeiro pointing his finger saying he's not doing, basically a line of guys that all did a shitload of steroids sitting up there going, how dare you ask me about steroids. It is
a whole bunch of liars.
Hilarious. We're going to talk about that. And that kind of goes into our episode today with cheating and things like that. And for the Small Town Murder one, I'm so excited about this. You're going to love this. We're going to talk about if Ted Bundy only had more socks, his entire tragic, disgusting life could have been avoided. This whole path.
It's a theory.
He could be your congressman right now. You know what I'm saying? If he only had more socks and not a murderer. I'm telling you, it's a weird thing, but And a little bit more than that, but there are a couple of weird theories on Ted Bundy from his interviews that we're going to talk about that I don't think anyone's ever talked about. So we're going to get into that. Patreon.com/crimeinsports. Crazy stuff. Hope you enjoy it because we do. And you'll also get a shout out. Jimmie will mispronounce your name at the end of the show while trying to say it correctly because, damn it, we're grateful. Yeah. So thank you because you're a producer. And if you just want to be a producer and get your name said at the end of the show, you can do that over at PayPal using our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com.
Yes.
Let's do this.
All
Let's
right.
get into it, Jimmie, shall we?
I would love
Here
to.
we go. We are going to talk about a lady today.
Oh, yeah.
A lady because it's, it's the 500th episode of our total. So I'm like, we hardly ever get to talk about ladies on this show.
There's like 7.
Think about it. What have we had so far? Sally McNeil.
Yeah.
We had Sunny. We had Kelly Lane.
Yeah.
We had
Mandy Malone.
Mandy Malone, of course. Jesus, Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
I'm running out. We had Hope Solo and Jeremy Stevens, but that wasn't really even her. That was just her involvement with that idiot mainly.
It's a little bit her.
Shit. It's really. I know I'm forgetting somebody very obvious.
There's
but
at least one.
But it doesn't matter. Not a lot of them is what we're getting at here. So, Jennifer Capriati.
There you go. And
and Nicole Bobeck.
Nicole Bobeck, yeah.
That was one of the craziest. And a lot of these are some of the Kelly Lane, Sally McNeil, Bobeck, Harding. These are some of the craziest episodes we've had.
Unbelievable stories.
Unbelievable stories. Today, we are going to talk about a woman named Rosie Ruiz.
Oh.
Do you know who Rosie Ruiz is, Jimmie?
No.
Okay.
Anybody knows a Rosie Ruiz somewhere, I'm sure.
That
sounds very popular.
It's like saying, do you know a Bill Smith?
Yeah.
Probably. Not off the top of my head, but I could probably dig one up pretty quick,
I'll bet you there's 1,000 Pablo Franciscos that don't do comedy, James.
Probably, yeah. That don't have rip-roaring substance problems. So there would be a lot of those probably.
Yeah.
So, boy, and we root for Pablo, too.
Sure do.
Fuck, is he a nice guy?
What a
God damn it, he's a super nice guy. Treats his openers like way better than you should treat openers. Even like really, it blows their heads up a little bit, makes them feel too good about themselves. So he's a good guy.
What he does, James, is that he takes all the hatred and anger he should focus on shitbags and local comics and openers, and he forces it upon himself.
Yeah,
he just hates himself.
On his own internal organs.
Stunned by it.
It's sad to see, but it's wow. So anyway, Rosie here though. Rosie, if you know who Rosie Ruiz is, still buckle up because you won't be surprised by what happens, but you will still enjoy the episode because we're obviously going to give you probably more details than you've had before. But let's get right into this. Born on June 21st, 1953.
Yeah.
In Havana, Cuba.
Beautiful.
So she's born, this is pre-Castro Cuba she's born in. She's born Batista Cuba. This is, mob casinos Cuba.
Yeah.
Corrupt
party time.
corrupt government Cuba. Not that the one now is any better, but it's a different kind of corrupt government there, obviously. So, so it's a different time there. So we're talking, Ricky Ricardo is on TV.
Yeah.
Desi Arnaz is people are like, those Cubans are wonderful.
Yeah.
They're just wonderful. In the Midwest, people were like, we should have, oh my goodness, those Cubans are fabulous. They're delightful. I want to dye my hair red and marry one.
I wish I knew some.
I wish I knew some here in Des Moines.
Right.
So, but I don't. So she's born in Havana. She moves to Florida in 1962.
Gorgeous.
So she gets that's post Castro. There was a lot of Cubans trying to get the hell out of there at that point. So
really,
that's when Castro came in. So things were different. If you were a revolutionary, I guess times were good for you. But if you owned a business or something, then Cuba wasn't going to be a great place for you after it was taken and all that shit. So, things changed a lot when Castro came in there, obviously. So after she came in, she moved here with her mother. Okay. They had to leave her father behind.
Oh.
He couldn't come. So that was tough on her, she said. Somehow she separated from her mother when she's a young girl here.
In
she
Florida?
moves here. Yeah, she moves here when she's 9, and somehow in the first year she's here, in Florida, she gets separated from her mother and ends up having to live with aunts and uncles and cousins and kind of around the family because she has family there. So, I mean, but that's nice. They're taking her in and people are, trying to help out. They came over from, it's kind of what you get in an immigrant thing too. Like it's same like with Italians used to be too. Like if someone comes over there, you take care of them and you try to help them along because you're trying to get as many people over as you can if you think it's better, basically. So, so she ended up living in Hollywood, Florida for a while through the late 60s. She also in 1972 she graduated from high school.
Great.
She graduates from South Broward High School.
Yeah.
So she now her aunt lives in Coral Gables, and her aunt's name is Maria Grovis. She says that she hadn't and this is 30 years later, she still hadn't spoken to Rosie ever since the day in the 70s when she just when she went to college and then she left college and stopped talking to a lot of her family.
Really?
Yeah, like she never talked to her aunt again, who she lived with before that.
That's weird.
Which is extremely strange. She went to Wayne State College in Nebraska, which I don't know anything about that, but it's she was there for 2 years.
Yep.
And and she ended up, just like I said, cutting off all relations with her aunt, who is her father's sister. So even if the father's not there, you think he'd want to be close to some part of his family. She said the aunt said that she had helped Rosie obtain an academic scholarship to Wayne State.
Really?
Helped her do all the paperwork and helped her so she went on a scholarship to college. Yeah. She's very smart, Rosie.
Yeah, that's the college that Bruce put together for underprivileged children.
I believe so. So. Also, there's a bat suit weaving class that they take. It's it's a difficult program to get in there, but if you get in, there's also they have the School of Alfred out back too, which is a different one. It teaches secretive buttling. It's a secretive buttling.
Yeah.
How to clean a nuclear powered car when it comes in from the road. Things like that. There's a lot of different tips.
And then how to file your taxes for that.
That's the thing, because what do you put that under? You just have to, and no one's going to think you make that much buttling, so you really have to.
1099 from Bruce.
You got to start like an S corp. It's a whole. It's a real complicated mess. So there's a lot encompassing. Everything from changing your boss's cod piece out to the tax ramifications of incorporation as a butler.
Well, also figuring out medical treatment for bullet wounds and stab wounds.
Oh, bullet wounds,
because you have to do all
wounds.
of that.
You never know, like
dress wounds,
some sort of weird whip, homemade cat claws. There's all sorts of different things that you can.
You got to dress those wounds at the same time as making high tea.
Yeah, that's it. Funny, weird Joker explosives. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. It's really a lot to deal with if you're an Alfred. There's a lot. You got to sit home. You don't know what's going to come through that door at the end of the night.
Got a clue.
He could come in and just go, Jesus, throw the keys to the Batmobile down and be like, rough night. Jesus Christ, take the fucking hat off and throw it down. And like, man, take care of that for me, Alfred. Yeah, just boring out there. Not a lot going on. Or he might come in like wounded with an explosion thing and half his codpiece blown off and the Batmobile's on 3 wheels, and now you have to deal with this. This is now your problem.
And you got to get blood out of there as well as all the sweat.
All this type of shit. You got to have the suit ready for tomorrow night, and you got to find somebody very secretive to fix a nuclear-powered Batmobile, which is not easy. They don't make that a lot.
All at Wayne State.
Do you call those foreign? We do imports. Do you call those mechanics? Who do you call for that? I don't know. Who's got expertise in the Navy?
We don't know because we don't have a PhD from Wayne State. That's why.
Damn it. Well, she almost did, apparently.
Okay.
But she just left, apparently. She'd left. She took off on her scholarship. She was 2 years in and just ghosted the college.
She goes to college, too.
College, aunt, everybody just ghosted them, which is
a different time.
I guess so. Her aunt said, quote, "She left without my consent. Of course I wanted her to stay. She was very bright." And so, Mark Stubbs, who's the director of college relations at Wayne State, he would only tell the press that she was once a student there for approximately a year and a half.
Okay.
So, yeah, she was in the middle of her sophomore year. He said exactly what time frame, I can't tell you. I can tell you that she did not graduate and no one knows where she is.
Oh, no.
So that's later on. So that's later on we're talking here. So according to Rosie's aunt, she left school to be with her mother in Miami. Mm-hmm. So apparently her mother was lonely at the time and wanted her daughter to be with her. So she left a academic scholarship to move to Miami to be with her mother.
Because mom's got the SADs today?
Yeah. I think it would probably be easier for mom to move to Nebraska than
Come on out here. I'll introduce you to a nice cow.
I'm on a full ride here. What are you fucking talking about? They're paying for me to be here. Do you understand that? This is free. I can't leave this shit. This is wild. And in the 70s, that's when a college education still meant something.
Oh my God, it meant everything then.
If you graduated from college in 1975, you were considered, somewhat of somebody to hire. You could go apply for jobs. Now they're like, who cares?
Yeah. People believed shit that came out of your mouth then. Now it's like, I don't give a fuck what book you read. I don't believe anything you say.
Okay. Everybody's been to college now.
Yeah,
like, who cares? Yeah, great. You went to, what was that, Southern New Hampshire TV college? I don't give a shit, or whatever they advertise. I'm not. That might be great school. That's the one I remember from University of Phoenix. We don't give a shit.
You went to DeVry. Good for you.
Yeah, you went to or even regular college. Unless you go to like a big school or go for something obviously very specialized, nobody gives a shit about your liberal arts diploma from fucking the University of Wisconsin.
Right.
What are you going to do with that now? I mean, it's more than I have. Don't get me wrong, but
I get it, yeah.
I'm impressed. But I'm just saying, you can't just go out and be like, boom, you're going to hire me now for a living wage with health insurance. People will be like, no, I don't think so.
All you did was drink beer at football games. I know what you did.
you can possibly assistant manage this Burger King. We'll talk to you after that. It sucks.
Yeah.
That really sucks. But back then it meant something, and she took off though, which is just so strange. And she left there, and she said that the father never ended up coming to America. The aunt said, quote, he never came to America. He was in farming. He had businesses. And then came Fidel Castro, and he just lost everything.
Wow.
So, So that was that, basically. And then he just stayed there for some reason.
Yikes.
So, they eventually, the father and mother eventually divorce. Living in separate countries is kind of a...
Yeah, that hastens it, yeah.
And it's not like they can go back and forth and visit each other either. That's the other problem. So you're kind of stuck literally with, governments in between you. There's nothing you can do with that. So Rosie, at some point between 1974, when she moves to Miami to be with her mother, and 1979, when we catch up with her in public, she moves to New York City at some point in that frame. I'm not sure when. She gets a job for a company named Metal Traders Inc., which metal, like a metal. Yeah. And trading metal, I guess. I don't know if they're they're trading like steel commodities, or like if they're actually, if it's actual metal. I have no idea. So I don't know what kind of office this is. If it's one of those concrete floored offices with like a big warehouse, or if it's just a carpeted office where they're just doing everything on
Or is it
paperwork.
even an office? Is it just a fucking scrapyard with dirt floors and a crane out back with a big magnet on it?
Yeah, this is what I'm picturing, okay? I'm either picturing a regular, like a corporate office where they're doing everything on paperwork, or the facility from Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's all like there's sparks flying and there's shipping and forklifts and shit. And then there's like a little tiny box of an office with like, all sorts of stuff stacked everywhere and like one person in it typing away on the... doing
Everybody has a hard hat.
The books. Yeah. Even in the office, they have a hard hat. That's either one of those. Metal Traders Inc. At the time, she's doing well for herself. She's responsible. Upstanding citizen. She is, in her mid-20s. She's making $17,000 a year.
Great.
Which in 19, that's about $56,000 now from then. This is in the late 70s. Yeah. So not so great, but okay. For a single person in their mid-20s, that's cool. You can, she could live in New York in the 70s as cheap as fuck.
You could
too, because it's, you could get some apartment for cheap, and, you could have a nice little life there. So, she had a bunch of friends, and everybody likes her, so she's very charming. And, blah, blah, blah. She tells everybody that she graduated from college with good grades, by the way, too. She didn't quite do that,
Rosie.
but everybody's fudged a little bit to get a job. You go to college for a year and a half. Yeah, I graduated. I was there. It's close enough. I know stuff. Right. I mean, what do they care? What the fuck do the last 2 years of college going to matter at Metal Traders, Inc.? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Was she going to learn something about, aluminum alloys or not? Probably not. She wasn't going for chemistry, so what's the goddamn difference?
Yeah.
So she was actually, her major was music. So
yeah.
I don't know how that, it's fine, but I don't know if she was like a composer or anything. I don't know how successful it came out.
I don't think it's going to be Kanye.
Maybe not. Let's hope not. Christ. So,
he's a talented motherfucker.
I was going to say, let's hope so for the first 10 years. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
And then
son of a bitch makes unbelievable music.
Well, let's adjust your tenses, Chief. Makes. Yeah. Let's go with made.
Yeah.
Some great shit.
Some very impressive things.
Yeah.
And then he stopped.
Yeah, look at all the beats he did for other people, and you're like, God damn.
It's incredible.
He did a lot of good stuff, and you're like, what happened now? I don't know what happened. So, and I'm not even talking about the outside of shit. Just the music is not as good.
Right.
Yeah.
But he does have a lot of mental issues, psychosis that he battles, and I'm sure that is absolutely playing
no one
into
in music.
it.
No one in music has ever had psychosis. Get the fuck out of here with that. Come on, dude. I mean, I'm not selling it short. I'm not selling that short.
James. Have you seen his fucking shoes and clothes? It's overboard. That guy's nuts.
Yeah, but do you remember the David Robinsons? You could have said that about him. You know what I'm saying? Even he was as straight-laced as they come. You can't go by shoes. Those things look like he landed on Mars.
Allowed somebody else to make those, and he just signed them.
He said, cool, those will work. I'll wear those in public, no problem.
This is Kanye with a computer fucking in his face, and he's making shoes, and they're
That's
bad.
the problem. He's making shoes. That's how you know it's not an issue.
They look awful.
And I'm not selling his mental issues short. Obviously, he's got problems that are whatever. Not talking shit on that. I'm just saying there's plenty of people in music with lots of fucking problems. I mean, Christ Almighty, people throughout time can't even stand up and they're making fucking music. Right. You can make great music in all sorts of different states of debilitation.
Figure it the fuck out, Yeezy.
Yeah, figure it out. Well, also, too, if you read shit about him before, he was never he wasn't fine and then he turned into Kanye. Right. He was always like this. Nobody ever wanted him around. He was annoying to people. They thought he was a fucking asshole back in the day.
He's always been weird.
Literally, they were like, man, does he have to fucking be here? That dude's so annoying. That's what people would say. Music people are like, that guy annoys the fuck out of me. Get him the fuck out of here. I don't even give a shit how good his beats are. I can't stand him. And then it's fucking crazy. And then once you make a hit, it's like, you know what? He's not so bad.
Yeah, let's call that guy around.
You know what? That guy that made that giant hit. You know what? I think I might want to talk to him again.
Let's laugh at him later, but let's have him around.
Hypocrites. Yeah, fucking hypocrites. So October of 1979 here, Rosie, this is earlier before this. In 1973, through the 70s, she says she has brain surgery twice.
Oh, no.
In 1973, she had an operation apparently on her to remove a benign tumor that was the size of a tangerine.
Oh, no.
Very large brain tumor. Big. That seems big. I don't know how does that even fit in your head?
Yeah.
You think you'd look like Stewie Griffin after a while if you had something that big in your head, it would jut out the side.
I guess the skull would keep it inside, but
where's the brain go then?
Yeah, that's where I'm going. That seems like that would hurt.
You'd pick your nose and poke your brain. It would be, ow, I just forgot algebra. Fuck.
It just seems like that would hurt when it's the size of a golf ball. Don't you, you know what I mean? Get that checked when it's that little.
She was having blackouts and all this type of shit and dizziness and falling down and, fainting episodes. So that's why she got checked out. And that's what ended up happening. Her doctors then told her that the tumor was benign, though. And after some, just rehabilitation, in 1978, her doctor told her that she could resume all normal activities. Uh-huh. So she decided that she was going to due to her health being good now, she is going to run in the New York City Marathon. Oh. That's what she's decided. So she said she does it. She missed the sign-up date is the problem. So she asks for, basically tries to get a special dispensation, telling them that she has a brain tumor. Uh-huh. She fudged a little, though. She said it was a malignant brain tumor and that she only has a year to live. So, because they told her, you can't sign up. It's too late to sign up for the 79. And so you got to sign up for the, October 80. And she said, I'll be dead by then. That'll be, that's going to be a little rough for me. I got to check I'm going to be dead by then. I looked at my book.
Yeah.
Past this date, I just have dead on the pages. So I'm not going to make it.
The doctor gave me a calendar. He said he didn't want to give me the date I would be dead, but he did rip out the last 4 months of next year.
He just said, you're not going to need these. You don't need fucking threw them in the garbage. So I don't know what that means. It means I'm not going to schedule anything for that is what it means. So I'm going to need to do it this year or not at all, basically. So they told her, fine. They gave her a special dispensation to be able to run in the 1979 marathon. It's a medical dispensation that apparently is available to others. It's a kind of a special waiver. And one of the Patricia Owens, who is a New York City Marathon official, who she was one of the people looking over these applications. Yeah. She said, quote, I remember seeing the application. I remember showing it to Fred Liebau, who was the director of the marathon, and he said we should let her run. He thought it was the right thing to do. Okay. They felt bad for her. Yeah. I mean, there's so many fucking people in a marathon. What is one more lady who's going to die in the masses of people really fucking matter? Right. Honestly, who cares? Also, she's a brain cancer patient. She's probably not going to finish. What's it matter? Yeah, she could be dead by the finish line on top of that. And before that, even anything else, also, maybe this is a nice story for us. You know what I mean? A nice fluff. Hey, the marathon's nice. They let people with cancer, terminal brain cancer run. Yeah. Look at you. Who knows what I know that's very cynical to think that way, but I mean, people are, cynical to think people are concerned with PR isn't really cynical. So now she, like I said, she was ready to do this and she wanted to do this and she runs in the marathon. It is her first marathon that she's run. Okay. So she said she's been training and all that sort of thing. She finishes 621st. Okay. Which is not bad, actually. That's better than I do. Yeah, I would finish in the, got left at a restaurant within the first 2 miles I'm not finishing. No. Not even close. I wouldn't even watch the end of the race. I'd just be like, I'm going home. I wouldn't make it to the first water break. I guarantee it. Well, let's be honest. I don't know how far in that is, but I can't make it that far. How early do they start a marathon? Pretty early, right? It's pretty early in the morning. Yeah. I'm not going probably just based on that. I'd have the best of intentions, and I'd be like, I'm not getting up at 7 o'clock. Fuck out of here with that. I don't need to be there. Am I getting paid for this? No? What am I getting up for then? You don't got to wake up pretty early to put anything by James. Just wake up around 10. Yeah. You'll still put it by him. Unless it's for money or something I have to do with my kids, I'm not getting up early. It's just not, I'm not doing it. I've reached the point in my life where I've dedicated my shit to, I'm a comedian. Yeah. This is what I do. Yeah. This is my job. I don't need to be up at fucking 7 a.m. So, breakfast is pizza around 1. That's about right. Maybe a bagel. Maybe a bagel at 12:30. Some orange juice. That's as you never drank coffee in the first place, huh? Nah, I don't like coffee. I fucking love it. No. I love the smell of it, though. Yeah. I love the smell of coffee. Brewing, I want people to make coffee. I just don't want to drink it. I'm like, that's disgusting. I don't know what you're doing. Brew there, that shit and pour it out, would you? Pour me a cup and I'm just going to smell it for a while. I've done that. I've walked around smelling coffee. It smells so good. But I just don't want to drink it. I have no desire whatsoever. That's basically the reason I wake up every day is because I fucking love coffee. It's a problem. Well, you're addicted to coffee. That's
That's true,
well,
too.
I guess it's love. You can be addicted to and love cocaine at the same time.
I think that's true.
Not mutually exclusive.
No.
So, yeah, you can love coffee and need it to survive.
I'm not addicted to cigarettes anymore, but I fucking do love them.
There you go. They're wonderful.
Yeah.
Imagine if cigarettes were good for you. That's always been the
Forget if they were good for you. Just imagine if they didn't hurt you. Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Like if they were like celery.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they don't have any nutritional value. They don't hurt you. They just go in your body and get out of your body.
Yeah,
Like, that would be amazing.
The greatest.
I would smoke 4 packs a day. I would love it. I would. I'd be like, I'd have like a cigarette holder, and I'd just put a new one in there. I'd be like, this is the great. I'd have them sitting out on the table, cigarette. It'd be like,
why not?
be like the 50s.
It doesn't
cigarette?
hurt you. It doesn't do anything for you. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt you.
It doesn't hurt you though. Isn't it great? Be the greatest, man.
I want it. Make it so.
Doesn't hurt you, but it makes you feel wonderful after a plate of spaghetti. It's just the best.
So good.
So anyway, she and don't smoke, everybody. We're not saying smoking's good. We're saying
And if you
it's so
smoke,
good.
whatever. I'm not going to stop you. But if you don't smoke, don't fucking start.
Oh, yeah, don't start smoking. I don't know why anybody would do that. I was reading something. Where the fuck was this?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was, but it was somebody's account of something. It was an old person accounting back of something, and they were talking about it was the 30s, and something was wrong with them. I don't know. They went to the doctor, and they said, the doctor suggested I take up smoking. So I did. And I'm like, imagine going to the doctor, and he's like, I'd like to see up to about half a pack, maybe a pack a day. What do you say? Imagine that. That's this person's life was. I'd like you to take up smoking. I think it'd be good for you.
Your blood pressure's a bit low. I'd like you to have a few cigarettes every day.
It'll perk you up. Tell you what. So I don't know what the fuck. I don't know how we got there. So 621st is what we're saying.
Yeah.
That's how she finishes, which is a time of 2 hours and 56 minutes.
That's incredible.
Which is very good.
Yeah.
It's very good. So, they talked to her because she was like, she had this medical dispensation. Yeah. It's her first marathon. She finished with a decent time.
They cut a tangerine out of her head.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's a tangerine somewhere. Somewhere there's a paperweight shaped like a tangerine on some neurologist's head.
Talking about I took that out of a Cuban immigrant.
Yeah, I took this out of a lady named Rosie's head, and now she finished 621st in the marathon. So she said that she's been training all over Manhattan, basically. Okay. She's just been spending her time running all over Manhattan, which in the late 70s, for anybody to spend their time running all over the island of Manhattan, your odds of being murdered or at least severely injured in a mugging are about 4,000%. So I don't know how she'd even survive that. So
perhaps that's why she ran, James.
Yeah, so she's, you know what? She's fast. That's how it works.
Right. I would walk, but their chances of getting hurt are much higher when I walk.
I guess if you're fast enough, you don't really have to worry. Like,
you don't have to worry about shit.
If Usain Bolt was walking down the street and they're like, give me your wallet, he'd be like, fuck you, and just take off. Before dude would go to run after him, just be like, Jesus, now this guy's 3 blocks away already. I never mind. Yeah. Fuck
he earned his own wallet.
Well, that's why. I guess that's why he looked like he had money. It's pretty fast. So her time, though, 2 hours and 56 minutes, is good enough to qualify Rosie to run in the Boston Marathon.
Awesome. Which
is the big one, I guess, here.
You have to qualify for that thing?
Yeah, I guess you have to qualify.
You can't
or
just
there's
run?
I think you can. I don't know if you have. There's so many fucking people. I don't know how the application process works to this marathon, especially in 1970, 1980, which this is now, the 1980 marathon for Boston.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
She gets the number W50, which is the 50th ranked woman runner coming in. So she's it's not bad, top 50.
Not bad at all, yeah.
I'm not top 50 in running for anything, so that's pretty good. Of any gender,
it's pretty
any
good.
age bracket. Yeah. I'm convinced if you got a bunch of like 75-year-old guys that were in really good shape, they could probably outrun me in a marathon.
For sure.
I'm sure they could if they were in like real good shape. Yeah.
I'm barely top 50 in under my own roof ever.
Yeah.
In anything.
No shit. So her boss here is a guy named John Emptage. He is the president of Metal Traders, Inc., and he is a marathoner as well. That's how Rosie got started in this, she said, was people in the office, starting from her boss here. And he didn't know that she was even running in marathons, and then she learned that somebody that works for him ran a sub 3-hour marathon.
Yeah.
And he was like, holy shit, this is great. So and this was in the newspaper, that he generously offered to pay her way to Boston.
Wow.
He's I'll pay for your hotel, I'll put you up, I'll do all that. And so that's what he said. So it's a feel good story.
Sure.
Here she goes and she's training for it, he's saying. He's very proud of her. And everybody's rooting for her just to finish it and do well and not grow another tumor.
Yeah.
So April of 1980 is the Boston Marathon, and this obviously it's a big event.
Yeah.
And I think it was it was bigger. Has it gotten less big or more big? I don't know.
The bombings
kind of slowed it a bit. Yeah, it makes it a little less desirable once they.
But I'm going to be honest with you, that's when I found out about it.
Oh, really? I guess on the East Coast you hear about it more, probably.
That's the difference. I'm telling you, west of the Mississippi, I don't know shit that happens out there. You know what I mean? I just found out
weird.
that there's parades for all kinds of shit in New York. I just found out about that like fucking 10 years ago.
I
knew
fucking
nothing
love a
of
parade
this
here.
stuff.
They love a parade in New York, man. They
everything.
Absolutely. Yeah, they will parade the shit out of anything. Any kind of holiday, celebrate a guy. You don't even know who it is. You're like, I guess there's a parade. I don't know.
Every ethnic group gets a parade. Everybody gets one.
If there's just every random Korean war vet just gets their own parade, just doesn't matter. You just get parades here.
It's incredible.
So yeah. So anyway, she goes to the Boston Marathon and she runs in the marathon. She has this like wreath around her head, like a Greek looking, like with leaves on it and shit. Yep. She's got that on her head, and she's 26 at the time, and she finishes the Boston Marathon in a time of 2 hours, 31 minutes, and 56 seconds.
She shaved like half an hour.
Which is 3 minutes ahead of the second place woman. She wins the Boston Marathon for women.
By 3 minutes.
By 3 minutes over a woman named Jacqueline Jarreau of Montreal. And remember that name, we'll hear about her. Jacqueline Jarreau. Or Garreau. It might be Garreau. I'm going to go with Garreau.
Okay.
Jacqueline Garreau. She cut 25 minutes off her previous time at the New York Marathon, which was only, 7 months earlier, 6 months earlier, which isn't bad. And they said she kind of she nonchalantly accepted the wreath, and she accepted the medal from the governor, and, was shocked by the whole thing. They said she seemed like she was in what the fuck, really? I won? Holy shit. Like she was just wandering around, which anybody, I would think that just from lack of oxygen after running for 26 miles would make you like fucking not really that with it.
Sure.
You probably couldn't recite your kids' names if you had more than two at that point. You'd be like, I don't know, there's little Johnny, Cynthia, and fuck, I don't know. There's a blonde one and a little fucking, I don't know, one of them has brown hair or something. I'm not sure.
You probably remember the first one and the last one and forget any in between.
You thirsty? I'm thirsty. Could use a drink.
You barely talk, I'm going to be honest with you.
Who's thirsty? Okay.
My lungs are on fire.
On fire. Absolute terrible.
That feeling alone, I can't believe people do that for fun.
My doctor told me to take up smoking, and then this is what happens. Yeah, how is that fun?
The lung burn alone is crazy. It hurts so bad.
Marathon running is one of those things that it has to almost be your identity because you can't, it's not a hobby.
Yeah.
You really have to dedicate a lot of your lifestyle to it, or else it's going to be.
Yeah, it's everything. It's everything you drink. It's everything you eat. It's everything you do. I can't. Yeah. I have a marathon coming up. Why are you doing this marathon, training, man? You have a job.
Cardio.
Yeah.
And I've known people who've done this too. And I mean, I guess they get a sense of accomplishment from it, and a thing of, especially people who get into shape to do it. I've known people that have done that, and then they feel good because they feel like they've accomplished a goal at the end of that. So I guess that's good. But I mean, these people who do it like competitively to win, I'm like, man, that's a crazy skill. Right? It's a crazy skill to find out you have. You know. How the fuck do you find out you have that skill?
I don't know.
I bet I can run for like 30 miles more than anybody else, like better than anyone.
It must be an eye-opening experience when you're like, I can tolerate how much on fire my insides are right now because I can't. I can't either. I already know it.
No,
I can't tolerate that.
Absolutely not. I mean, how would you, like I said, how would you know you're good at it? Like you could get like, hey, me and you, I can throw you a basketball. We can go to the hoop, and one of us will discover a talent and be like, holy shit, one of us is really good at this or whatever, and we'd be, playing it. But like. You can't go to a kid like, let me race you. No, not till the end of the block. That's for pussies. To the next city.
I want to race you for 3 fucking hours. How about that?
Yeah, I want to race you. Where are you from? There. That's where we're going to race to. Your childhood fucking home. It's a weird thing. Yeah.
It's so far.
It's so far. Your lungs burn, your whole body burns, your legs give out, like you're saying. That's brutal, man.
And then your balls chafe, your nipples bleed. Their nipples fucking bleed, man.
Oh, when they're doing this, their bodies are telling them that this is not okay. Yes. That's the thing.
In so many different ways, their body's like, dude, stop. Don't do this to us.
Your body, it's not handling it. Nobody's body's meant for this, and I get that you're pushing it to the extreme, but your body is telling you no.
Right.
It really is. It's telling you no. The same way the guy that, that eats fucking every bit of ham and pork he can get his hands on and weighs 300 pounds and he has to go when he gets out of the chair. His body's telling him the same thing your body's telling you. You guys are no different, so you don't think you're any better with your bleeding nipples. At least his nipples are in good shape.
They're stretched, but listen, they're not bleeding. The guy that you're doing this, that it's named after, fucking died when he did this, according to mythology. I don't even know if it's real or not. But
we'll talk about
crazy.
that. Yeah, that's. We'll get into that. So she gets her medal. She heads over to the parking garage, apparently, where they have a half-hour media session with her. I don't know why they're doing it in a parking garage, but apparently that's where it is. And, she gives answers. She says, she's been running about 65 miles a week for the last 3 months.
Wow.
That's how she's been doing it. She says, she was asked about what's your split? And she said, I don't know what that is. It's a marathoner term. Mm-hmm. She said, I don't know what that is. She says she wears her watch during races, but doesn't like to look at it. Because she doesn't want to, doesn't want to put, you don't look behind you. That's not what you do. She said that when she entered the New York Marathon last year, she put on her application that her expected or anticipated time of finishing was about 4 hours and 10 minutes. So that's what she said, and she also put on the sheet that The fastest she'd ever run a mile is 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
So you can do math there.
26, that's a lot. Yeah. Okay.
But 26 too. You're not that's balls out for a mile. You're running pretty much. You're not
running 5-minute miles for 26 miles.
Yeah, you're not matching your pace for a 1 mile on a 26 mile. For Christ's sake, she said as they were giving her the laurel wreath, she said it's hard to figure out. It's hard to figure out. She said, "quote I paced myself off the men." And since it was my only my second race, I'm not familiar with watching out for where everybody is. She said that she doesn't recall. She recalled no splits for the intermediate distances, and they had to explain to her what that was. And they said, "You don't even look like you look great. Like you just finished. You look like you don't even look that fatigued. You don't think you're going to die. Basically, you don't look terrible." And she said, "I got up with a lot of energy this morning and worked out great. So
I'm Cuban.
That's it." Yeah, look at me.
That's why I look great.
You don't get it.
Right.
Yeah, you're not getting it at all here. You should see my mom. She looks better than me. She's 76 years old. So she is the Boston Marathon Women's Champion in only her second race. Grace. Yeah. This is Grace. Oh, yeah, this is definitely Grace.
Hard Grace.
So hard Grace. So there's a runner here. This guy, Dylan, is his last name. He says, quote, I chased those yellow shorts. I fell short. I was closing. I finished 44 seconds behind her. I was coming on like a freight train, but I just ran out of space. I had more, okay? I had more. And after the race here, this guy approached the Jacqueline Garreau, the second place woman. She was the one with the yellow shorts that he was chasing the whole time. And he says, I'm saying, quote, congratulations, did you win? And she says, no. And he laughed, but then she wasn't laughing. So he's thinking, no, I'm thinking I got third. No way, 2 women passed me. I'm standing there and I have my hands on my hips and I'm like, who beat you? Yeah. This is the guy talking to her. And she's, quote, she looks at me and she points. I look up. There's Billy Rogers, who's like, he wins the marathon every year. Right. He's like the standard marathon guy. He's the first. The next year, though, he loses it to a Japanese guy who's like 24 years old. So this is like his last. Okay. This is like his peak of, this is his grace right here. So Bill Rogers, he says, quote, I look up and there's Bill Rogers and there's this woman. And I went, her? How did she beat you? She says, I never saw her. Her boyfriend was there with this other guy who was her agent, and they said, quote, we never saw her either. There she was. She just won the whole thing. So, as you can imagine, everybody at her job went fucking nuts when she won the race, because they're all a bunch of runners. Yeah. And their coworker just won the Boston Marathon, so that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. I would think,
Is there prize money for that? Do you get anything?
I think you do.
You get an award, right?
They give you a medal, I know, and a wreath, and then you go on all the, you go on like the Today Show, and I'm sure you can go around and do speaking gigs, probably, and I'm sure there's something attached to that level of.
There fucking well better be.
There has to be, because you don't just do that to make your. Otherwise, all marathon running is just for personal goals, which is. I mean, I guess that's fine, but it doesn't seem fun.
Personal ego stroke, too.
I guess, yeah, just to set goals for yourself to beat. That's all I can imagine. So her boss, again, John Emptage, sure. Mm-hmm. Now, he, by the way, he also owned Hampton Party Tents, is another one of his business.
Okay.
Yeah. He says that they went crazy when they found out that she was the winner. Quote, we're all in there with the radios blaring. And he says there's about 40 employees here. He says, quote, and we hear the winner, Rosie Ruiz from New York City. It went crazy. Everyone was jumping up and down. All was wonderful. Rosie comes back wearing her crown into the office, and everyone was really thrilled for her. All of a sudden, though, the phone started ringing, tons of questions, and, he said then it turned into a madhouse down there.
Yeah, just circus.
Yeah. Now, the reason is, this was her second marathon, and she ran it in the third fastest time of any woman in recorded history.
Third fastest
ever. in the history of womanhood.
Second time she's ever tried.
Second time.
Okay.
So I mean, shit. People are good at things. There's savants. I'm sure there was people that were playing music their whole fucking life, and they thought they were great. And then Mozart came in when he was like 9 and fucking made him eat shit, and they were like, fucking douchebag. What is he, 9?
Yeah.
I'm sure that happens because you're just talent is talent, I guess. But I don't know what kind of freaky marathon genes that she has in her. Her dad was a farmer. You got to have some stability. In Cuba, it's hot down there. You got to have got to be a sturdy individual to farm in Cuba.
Dragging the plow, building these legs. I don't know what she could possibly be doing that would create a marathon super freak. That's nuts.
Who the fuck did I just read about that when they were a kid, they used to have to, their family couldn't afford animals anymore and they had to pull the plow themselves.
Get out of here.
Lyndon Johnson. It was Lyndon Johnson, the president. President Lyndon. You wonder why he was such a mean fuck? That's why. When he was a kid, his family was so poor he had to pull the plow.
In the hot Texas sun.
This was in Texas. He was pulling a plow. I was like, God damn. No wonder why he was Texas. Mean. I'm going to take it out on them Vietnam. That's what I'm going to do.
He was a mean son of a bitch.
He was. He was a very mean son of a bitch. So, this is 25 minutes faster than the one she ran 6 months ago. And it's just a big deal. And people are really impressed by it. They really are. The race director for the New York Marathon says that because they were asking him about what about the application with the 4 hours and 10 minutes, and he said no, it's actually true. So then they were like, was she sandbagging? Because I guess based on what I don't know if I think they position you based on, because there's rows and numbers, so they position you based on, it's kind of like a handicap thing too. You know what I mean? I don't think if you're like a world-class marathoner, they put you right up front, I don't think. Or maybe it's like race car driving where it's like
pole
qualifying.
Position,
pole position, I'm not sure. Or I don't know if it's handicapped or pole positioned, either one. So now they talked about, like, people even brought up, well, is it possible that she didn't even run in the New York Marathon? Did she fake that? Maybe that's what happened because, maybe that's what the deal is. So they talked about the people who actually tried to get into the race. And this guy said, quote, there were 125 runners who tried to get onto the Verrazano Bridge Plaza for the start of the race, and 100 succeeded. 40 jumped into the race in Brooklyn. 20 were diverted at the Queensboro Bridge. So I don't know if they took the wrong turn. Another 72 late starters were stopped 200 yards from the finish line. Oh, wow, because they got caught starting late because they jumped in. 8 runners with high numbers, those are the slower entrants, attempted to stand in the front of the start line. Okay, so I think it's pole position.
Yeah, it is.
So that's how it works. 1 runner was disqualified for instituting a false start, and 6 were caught for cutting the course.
Okay.
Which is, I'm sure a lot of people try to do that.
Yeah, but why would you?
Why would you do that if this is for you? What are you doing?
This is for your ego. What are you cheating for?
Yeah. That's like faking an orgasm when you're jerking off. Like, what are you doing? Why bother even starting? You didn't have to start.
Yeah.
Who is this for? Who is this for? What the fuck, dude? I don't think many people do that. You don't have to bother. Oh, no, that was great. Woo.
Oh, you really got me today, Jimmy. No, I didn't.
My knees are weak. Not working.
I feel our dick. I know better.
That would be a pointless endeavor.
Yeah.
So, Jesus Christ. He said 18 runners wore another runner's number. So I guess they switched or stole one. 12 gave their numbers to someone else. 2 used false names to obtain numbers.
What the fuck is happening? Cut it off. Stop it.
Yeah.
If there's
what are
this
we
much
doing?
problems for a free a stupid event that doesn't matter?
Yeah, so far this is like 200 people they've talked about. I mean, that's out of like thousands, but still, it seems
That's too many.
It's too many. 12. Let's see. They obtained 12 lied about past marathon performances.
Yeah.
I guess for better pole position or some shit. 9 were recognized by video machines as unofficial runners, and 3 were thrown out after being charged with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Okay.
I don't know if they tried to trip the guy next to him or what the fuck they didn't do. So people are starting to come out, like the other runners they're saying they didn't even see her around. They're like, we didn't even fucking see her, and now she won. This is ridiculous.
Right.
And a lot of them kind of sound like it's the second place winner, the lady who came in second. So kind of sounds like sour grapes, where they're like, well, she came out of nowhere. This is bullshit. Like, who the fuck are you? You're preordained to win the marathon? No, maybe you lost. So Jacqueline Garreau was, she said, running blithely along, thinking she was the first woman. Now, there's journalists assigned only to the women. There's ones assigned to the men. The women, they have to break it down into pieces so they can cover it, basically, because it's 26 miles and thousands of people. So you have to get organized to figure out who's doing what. You can't just have a bunch of people taking pictures and shit. So they thought that they all thought that Garreau was winning too. They had Jacqueline Garreau leading at the second checkpoint and trailed by Ellison Goodall and Kathleen Samet. There, that's who was behind them at the second checkpoint. Now at Woodlands, Massachusetts, which is the 17-mile checkpoint, Jacqueline was still the first woman, according to John Powers of the Boston Globe, who was monitoring the women. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, she says she never saw Rosie Ruiz, and the one of the other runners, Ellison Goodall, she says she never saw her either. Patty Lyons, who finished the race at 2 hours 35 minutes and 8 seconds, said she never saw Rosie either. Mm-hmm. And Jacqueline ran the first 20 miles in the race at 1 hour 56 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay. Now, stay with me. There's math here. It was computed, so they did the math on this, so that if Ruiz passed her after that, she would have had to run the last 6.2 miles in about 34 minutes.
Okay.
That's how the math works out. If she was behind her at that point, to be ahead of her by there, she would have had to run that to finish that much ahead, basically.
Okay. She'd have to run the last stretch in like 6-minute miles.
In 6-minute miles. Yeah, after running 20 miles.
Yeah.
Which is...
That's crazy.
Patty Lyons says, and that is impossible.
Right.
So, not happening, basically. So, they're saying that, how do you... There's basically, the runners are like, I didn't see her at all. And they're like, well, how the fuck do you prove that she wasn't there? What are you talking about? Maybe you weren't paying attention.
Right.
Yeah, who the fuck are you?
Right.
I mean, you're just running. Who knows what? After running 20 miles, I'd be seeing Smurfs and shit. I would be seeing all sorts of weird shit, I would imagine. I wouldn't know what I would see.
I wouldn't be sure what I saw enough to be able to say I didn't see anything. That's for sure.
No.
Yeah.
I'd be like Bugs Bunny in the desert where there's a mirage, and I'd be like, is that a hot bunny woman there? I think there's a hot rabbit chick up ahead. Yeah, get her. So she... apparently only the first 100 runners at every checkpoint along the course are noted by race officials.
Right.
So at every checkpoint, they mark down who the first 100 runners are.
Okay.
So they can keep and see what the consistency is. So they said that, that she could have been, if she was not in the top 100, they wouldn't have marked her coming to checkpoints.
Right.
So if she could have turned it on at the end and blasted through, that's possible, like whatever. So they said, if they'll look into it as they look into everything, but they go, it'll be a week or two before we have any announcement. We're not expecting anything to change. So they said, quote, this is the guy who runs the race, quote, right now I'm in no position to question her. She says that, Ruiz, they looked at some films, but they didn't have extensive video coverage in 1980.
Right.
They said some films that Ruiz, quote, does not appear to in any of the video except for crossing the finish line, but we've had people call and swear they saw her at different miles. So they go, but really, how credible is that? How credible? Yeah. Same as people saying they didn't see her. Right. Who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? So... They asked about the possibility of someone dropping 25 minutes from one marathon to the next in a span of 6 months, and he said it was very unlikely.
It's crazy.
But It's great. But if it was her first marathon and she she ran it meekly, but then realized, hey, trying to save her energy, but then realized, fuck, I have all this energy. She might have known this time she could turn it on a little more.
Yeah.
You don't know how to pace yourself for your first marathon, I wouldn't imagine. So, so they did have a guy named Hal Goforth, who was a runner from San Diego, and he says he saw her. He says he saw her at the 10-mile mark, and then he thought he saw her at what he thinks is the 15-mile mark, but one of those markers around there, he said. And he said, all of a sudden, I just saw this short girl go chugging by. Okay. And he remembered her. So there was that. Other racers have a different opinion, though. The Fred Lebo, who's the guy who stages the New York Marathon, he said, quote, "She is a phony." That's his statement to the to the Boston Globe.
Okay.
It's pretty strong.
Yeah.
Jock Semple, his name is Jock.
Yeah.
Jock Semple.
J-O-C-K?
Not Jacques.
Yeah.
Jock. As in your dick.
Yeah.
The assistant director of the Boston Marathon. I said bloody because his quote is, quote, "She's a bloody fake." So assume he's a British man.
Yeah.
Colonel Will Cloney, who was the director of the Boston race, said, quote, "I have grave doubts." Okay. Patty Lyons, who's the third woman to come in to finish, said, quote, she finished right behind Garreau, quote, "I never saw her in the race. I finish, I come in. Next thing you know, they're putting the laurel wreath on her." And Rosie, when they ask her, she says, quote, "I didn't expect to win this race. I ran a 2:31. That's all I have to say." Fuck you. I mean,
and if I did cheat, boy, oh boy, did I, am I in over my head?
Yeah. No shit. So Rob Bright, who was the race director of the Midland Run in New Jersey, was waiting for Lyons, who was a friend of his, at the 23-mile mark. And he says, quote, "She was the second girl to come by. The first was Garreau," talking about his friend, not Ruiz. "I knew her. I'd seen her run in Montreal. There was just no way Ruiz could have been there." So, there's that. Now, there's another guy who, and this guy, this is a weird thing. Every once in a while, when someone's a scumbag, it makes them reliable because they're a scumbag.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is like scumbaggy behavior, and you can rely on that. So you're like, okay, that's like the sun rising. This will make sense in a minute.
Okay.
There's a man named George Lynn, Linn. I call him George Lynn, butt identifier. This man can pick your ass out of a lineup, apparently. He really can.
And he doesn't line them up and then just start picking asses. You mean he can identify an ass?
Identify him
in a group of asses.
In a group of asses. Like this guy, if he was like a carnival barker, it'd be like, step right up, step right up. I'll tell your ass from your friend's ass. Come on and step up. Whose ass is that? Is it your mom's ass? Is it your ass? I don't know. We'll find out. Whose ass is going? Who's got a better ass? Who's got a fatter ass? I'll tell you anything about an ass you want to know. I'll pick your ass out of a
Maria,
lineup.
Teresa, Stacy. Turn around.
Boom.
Bang.
Hey,
nailed it.
Hey, hold on a second. Maria, Teresa, you guys go. Stacy, come here a minute.
You get the blue ribbon, Stacy.
Come here, Stacy. I want to talk to you. Hold on. I'm going to talk to Stacy on the side, everybody. So now George Lynn was the fastest runner in the marathon from New Mexico. Okay. So he's New Mexico's fastest marathon runner at this point in 1980. Yeah, ooh, that's a title right there. He says he knows a woman run. He says this is amazing. He says that he knows a woman runner when he sees one from behind. That's what he said. That's literally what he said.
It's why I'm good at running. I chase it all day.
I'm always chasing tail. Remember the skier when he's ski jumping in deadly maneuvers, and he said, "Pussy's always on my mind when he's doing that." That's what this guy's. That's how I get through the race. I don't think about the miles. I don't think about the time. I just think about these sweet asses in front of me and how to catch up to them. Hey. So George,
I never beat a woman across the line because I'm just chasing that ass. That'd be a waste of a few seconds of a glance.
Yeah, I figure all the women usually come in ahead of me. That's the weird part, but I don't know if that's all right. I don't mind. He says and he said, quote, "The behind." They said that this is from the New Mexican, the newspaper here from Santa Fe, New Mexico. They said, quote, "And the behind of Rosie Ruiz was one he missed last Monday." He says he was in perfect position to have seen Ruiz in the final 17 miles of the marathon, and he says there was almost no way he could have seen her if she had run. He wouldn't have seen her if he ran the entire race. Now, she basically she says that, look, and there's a lot of other people that agree with her on this. She's like, they didn't recognize me at these checkpoints because I had short hair, and they probably just marked me down as one of the guys.
Okay.
Is what she said. My hair was short. I'm running by.
Yeah.
They don't fucking know who I am. They probably just marked me as a guy. So maybe that's what happened. It could have just been in the wrong column.
Except for that big W on your back.
Yeah, well, she said, you're running. It could have got covered and twisted. Who knows? Now, Lynn, he says, quote, absolutely no way. No way. They said, this is when they were asking they said, could you have mistaken her for a male runner? Could you have looked at her and thought she was a guy? Absolutely no way. He said, quote, though it's true that some women can be mistaken for men, the giveaway for any woman runner, regardless of how skinny she is her rear end.
Yeah.
That's what he said. I know a woman's ass when I see one. I don't care how manly she looks. I don't care if she's, living her life as a guy. I don't care. I look at that ass. I'll tell you what's in them pants. That's what I'm telling you right here.
You're telling me Caitlyn Jenner could fool him. That's what you're telling me?
He's going to fool him. Regardless of how skinny she is, it's her rear end.
Yeah.
This guy's
That's
ridiculous.
A man's ass.
That's a man's ass. I know a man's ass. I'll try to slip that by me. He finished the marathon in the same time as the second place woman, Jacqueline Garreau. Probably about a half a second behind me, let's be realistic. Not at the same time. About a half second back. He was beating her, but then he slowed down in the last few minutes. He goes, hey, take a look at that. Oh, Jesus Christ, I could have beat her. Why do I do this if all I'm doing is looking at these asses? I could just stand in the crowd and not have to do all this work.
It's a good reason to run a marathon.
And it really is. And this is the funny part. He says he passed her, Garreau, who is the leading woman, earlier in the race, and it wasn't until the 9-mile mark that she passed him. Or he, quote, let her pass, if you know what I mean, wink, wink.
Yeah. Or if it was just all a bunch of men's asses around him. He's like, I got to put the brakes on a little bit. This isn't my favorite view.
Let's let this broad pass me real quick. There we go. That's better. Some French-Canadian tail I'm chasing. I like this.
I need a little better view, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, this is better. He says, quote, when Jacqueline Garreau went by me, the crowd was saying, here comes the first woman. He said, let me be the judge of that, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. He said,
calm down. You guys don't know. I'll tell you in a second.
Relax. I'll let you know. He said, I stayed within sight of her to the finish line and just nipped her at the finish. No other woman passed me. So I guess he stayed behind her looking at her ass all the way till the finish line when he ran up and passed her and beat her.
Yeah, sure.
So that's what he did. He hung back, looked at her ass
for
the
9
whole
miles.
time, and then turned on the burners and beat her at the end because he could have done that at any time.
Right.
But he wanted to look at her ass the whole time. This guy is a fucking... For 9 miles. Imagine that.
She
Ladies,
passed him at the 9 miles. So 17 miles.
and a half miles.
Her ass.
Guys will follow you around in the mall or something looking at your ass or something at a concert or some shit like that. Imagine someone following you for 17 and a half miles staring at your ass and then just running by you at the end and being like, nice can, sweetheart. You would fucking stab him in the throat and he would deserve it.
Really appreciate the motivation. Couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, my God. So
17 miles of face full of ass. That's
staring
incredible.
at this broad's ass. This guy gets funnier, by the way. If that's possible. He gets funnier. This guy's got to be a character, I think. I think we need to... George Lynn, butt inspector.
Ass connoisseur.
Ass inspector. George Lynn, ass connoisseur.
Look at them cheeks, sweetheart.
Because he like drinks from a brandy snifter and smokes a fine cigar while he does this, like with a smoking jacket on. He's a connoisseur
Turn around
of
and
asses.
grab your toes.
He has like Posterior Monthly magazine he gets and things like that, where they're not big ass, they're fully clothed, they're just asses he can look at. Man, He says, quote, Rosie Ruiz's story was that Garreau passed her and that she later passed back. Assuming that happened after 9 miles, I would have seen it. We, meaning him and Garreau, were running at the same pace. I was behind her, Garreau, obviously.
Yeah.
So if she had passed another woman and another passed back, I could have identified her by her butt. He literally says that. He literally says, I was behind her, so if she had passed another woman and then another passed her back, I could have identified her by her butt.
Yeah.
Because he would have put it into his mental fucking Rolodex of every ass he's ever seen.
And while he watches that ass
W50.
disappear into a 3-minute lead.
Yeah, that's the other thing here. Yeah, so I would have recognized her by her butt. Besides, Ruiz looks like a woman anyway, not like a man. He says that his keen eye for women runners was backed up by a friend in the crowd who was about a mile from the finish line. He said, I was looking at all their asses too. The guy's not lying. No, that's not what he said. He said, quote, I had a friend who was standing at about the 25-mile point, and he said he saw Rosie Ruiz go by, but they did not see her at the 24-mile checkpoint. That's really the damning evidence that no one saw her at any of the checkpoints. He said he first suspected foul play at the finish line when he and Garreau walked through the chutes to the basement of the Prudential building and saw Ruiz on the winner's platform. He said, quote, she just didn't look like a marathoner. There was no sweat on her shirt, no salt stains, and not a hair out of place. And her thighs looked pretty heavy for that class of marathoner. Jesus Christ, man. Holy fucking shit. This guy is just running marathons to judge women's bodies.
See the fat roots on this broad? There's no way she runs.
She got tree trunks, this fucking lady. No way.
The gams on this pig. How dare she?
Her thighs look pretty heavy for that class of marathoner.
That's hilarious.
Wow. I got to recover from that. He then said, quote, Garreau was standing by me, and she was dumbfounded because she thought she had won, and her problem was compounded by the fact that she doesn't speak English very well.
Oh, no.
She's a French-Canadian, and there was no one around who could speak French and tell her what happened.
Yeah.
So she was just like, what the fuck?
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
And so this was Lynn, though, thought her time was too fast. He said it was too fast because it was hot that day. It was 81 degrees that day.
Yikes.
He said it's too hot for that. He says, quote, Bill Rogers, who's the men's champion all the time, was 3 minutes off his best time, and I was 3 minutes off my best time. He said, because it was the heat. Because of the heat, it just wears you down.
And she's 30 minutes off hers?
And she got, his was 3 minutes more. Oh, they added 3 minutes to their time because of the heat. 3 minutes to each of their best times.
She's shaving a half an hour.
Yeah, so he said, so subtract 3 minutes off Rosie's time would place her very close to a world record, and I just don't believe that.
Okay.
So, yeah. Rogers agrees. Rogers said, I knew something was fishy. She wasn't drenched in sweat. She didn't look fatigued. Too much body fat, not enough muscle.
That's incredible.
I bet you when this woman decided to enter this marathon, she didn't think that the newspapers would be litigating her ass and thighs for the next fucking 3 weeks afterwards, because this is crazy.
Yeah, with every runner evidently commenting that she's a pig.
Well, it gets worse.
Oh, boy.
Rogers said, too much body fat, not enough muscle. I saw this gal and asked someone her name. I mean, I was dumbfounded, speechless, to be honest. My brother Charlie said she had thighs like Irma Bombeck. You know, lots of cellulite. Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck? So he also says, Bill Rogers also says that she didn't appear to be near death when she crossed the finish line, as everybody else did at 81 degrees in the noon sun.
Oh, and all the people saying cellulite are having a rough time. This one
they're having a rough
breathe just fine.
Maybe they need a little cellulite on their thighs, and it would fucking help out a little bit. Maybe that'll insulate you against the cold or against the heat.
Holds oxygen.
He said, quote, the second I saw her, I was skeptical. I know a top runner when I see one. She didn't look tired. And her ass was a little fat. No, he said she didn't look tired. But to go from 256 to beating Patty Lyons and Jacqueline Garreau, I'm sorry. Okay. No way. He said something else. He said there was no sweat stains on the back or underarms of her yellow T-shirt. Mm-hmm. Like, because sweat stains. Right. You see it, even when it dries, you see it on there still, especially that kind of heavy sweat. I remember thinking, oh no, somebody made a big mistake here. He says, but his brother, Charlie, was even more certain of it. He says, quote, I started to get sick to my stomach. This is Charlie. This is great. I started to get sick to my stomach. Rosie looked like a housewife with 2 kids, not a world-class marathoner. Jesus fuck.
Boy, do I love the 70s.
This is insane. He said when Charlie searched for someone in authority, Bill had sat at the table with Rosie and was waiting for the start of the press conference. They just moved him in and said, sit here. This is where the press conference is. Now, Rogers, Bill, he says, quote, I asked her about her training and how many intervals she did. She didn't know what intervals were. You don't run 2 hour and 31-minute marathon and not know about intervals.
Okay.
I don't, but I don't run marathons. Right. So now Rogers says, quote, the person I was most concerned about was Jacqueline Garreau. I'd won Boston 4 times. I know how it feels to be out there on Boylston Street getting the wreath put on your head. He said, though, she didn't. The next day, they went on a morning show. Rogers and Ruiz went on like the Today Show, I think, at the time. And, a few minutes before they got on TV, when they were sitting in the green room, Rogers said to her, quote, he said, I said, Rosie, if something went wrong here, now is the time to rectify it. He said she started to hesitate like she wanted to say something. I thought she was going to admit it, but then she just started crying and saying, I won. I just said, okay, Rosie, it's okay. Forget about it. Not going to argue with you.
Today's
fine.
Not the day. I get it.
Now, Garreau said, I'd like to hear from her. She said that she, was on the whole course, and she said other than the last mile or so, that everybody, when she'd show up at every mile, they'd tell her she's a leading woman, because that's what they do. They say, you're in first for women.
Right.
She said that last mile, there was no cheering anymore. It was quiet, so quiet. And it's because somebody else had already won.
Right.
And she said this about Rosie, quote, she didn't look like a 2 hour, 31-minute runner.
That is the women's way of saying she got cellulite and a fat ass.
And her ass so just didn't look like it. Yeah, she didn't look like a 2 hour, 31-minute runner.
Yeah.
She didn't know what any of the terms meant, easy things like interval training. Mm-hmm. I saw her in Miami 2 or 3 years later when I ran the 10-kilometer race at the Orange Bowl. She came up to me and said, hi, I'm Rosie Ruiz. She was there, but she hadn't run in the race. And I said, why did you do that in Boston? And she said, I did run it. I won. So, hey, there's no way I was going to have a conversation with you. Yep. And so I don't think she's on the right road. That's what she says. Okay. So April 25th, 1980, there's a reporter named Susan Morrow, who is she has some information here. But this is on the New York City Marathon. Okay. She is she's a knitwear designer and a freelance photographer, not a reporter. Sorry.
Yeah.
So she's doing like Etsy,
okay.
1980 version of Etsy, and she's a freelance photographer.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah. So she was watching TV the night of the Boston Marathon, and she heard that Rosie Ruiz was the winner. And she was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? Because she said, that can't be. This is the woman I remember meeting on the subway the day of the New York Marathon while the race was already in progress.
Uh-oh.
She said, quote, she was wearing, just a number. She said that she just happened to run into her on the subway. She said she looked like a marathon runner. Turns out she was a psycho.
Go on.
So they met when they both got on the subway at the same spot here on West 4th Street in Greenwich Village. Mm-hmm. And Morrow said that Ruiz told her that she had withdrawn from the race after about 10 miles because she twisted her ankle. Okay. So she said she got out. So the two women got off the subway at Columbus Circle and walked together toward the Central Park finish line. Ruiz she popped up and went over to the medical tent, basically. Once they got there, Ruiz banked off into the medical tent, and then Morrow went and just started watching the race. There's a lot of shit going on. There's people, so she just went and forgot all about her and went off into the crowd. She said, quote, by fluke, a miracle, whatever, I ended up a foot from where the runners came in. It ended up one of the peak experience days of my life. That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
That's sad. That's very sad. I'm sorry. That's just very sad. That's your peak experience, being where fucking runners you've never heard of cross a finish line for the second biggest marathon in the country. Right. I mean, honestly. Anyway, she said that, quote, I've gone to many marathons since then, and I've never gotten anywhere near the finish line like that. She said that the key to getting there, because she didn't know how to get there, the key to getting there was Rosie Ruiz. Oh. She said after they came out of the Columbus Circle subway station, they repeatedly passed through police barricades. Ruiz kept identifying herself as an injured runner. She had her number. She's like, injured runner, I have to go over here. I'm an injured runner. And so they just let her through the barricades because she was going to medical tents. So Ruiz just kept doing that. No one knew what was going on, really. The fucking 70s cops in New York, they don't fucking care. Injured runner, great. She's not stabbing a guy. What the fuck do I care what she's doing right now? New York was crazy in 1979.
Right.
A marathon runner going through a barricade, not a blip on the radar. Don't care. The Bronx is on fire. Fuck this. So she kept doing that, and they said basically that while receiving medical aid, which was the last medical area near the finish line, she ended up popping into the race after that, finishing at a time of 2 hours, 56 minutes, and 31 seconds. So, and they said a race volunteer probably saw her wearing the barcode on her T-shirt, tore it off, and placed her on a spindle of barcodes from runners who had run the full race. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it. You just do that. They said that on the grounds of this woman, Morrow, this photographer, what she says, they're going to review the finish line videotape and everything like that. And so finally, by the end of the day, Morrow says that she wishes she obviously had brought her camera on the subway that day. She said, I could have made thousands and thousands of dollars selling her picture at this point. Right. So, she said that day, the day they met in New York, they made initial plans to have lunch. And they traded phone calls in the days after. They traded phone numbers, but they never ended up getting together. She said there was something weird about Ruiz that troubled her. She said she received a phone message one day requesting her to call Rosie, and she thought it was another friend by the same name, so she returned the call and then was surprised when Ruiz answered by saying metal traders. She was like, what? Yeah. She thought it was a different Rosie. She said, quote, I was surprised it was her and not my other friend, and I remember saying, oh, Rosie, it's you. I thought it was another friend of mine. And she said, I told her I thought it was my other friend, Rosie, and she came back with this tone. It was weird, saying, quote, well, you've forgotten me already. Right there, I said to myself, I don't think this is something I want to get into.
Yeah.
So, I don't think so either here. So anyway, they take away they disqualify her from the New York Marathon based on this evidence. Yeah. They say that they have no evidence that she ran other than that last mile.
Sounds to me like she rode the subway for the marathon.
Which is a lot easier way to do it.
It is.
I could run a marathon if you did it on the subway.
I could run it.
I could do it. Yeah, I could kick back on the subway. I could argue with homeless guys about, they want to fuck your face and all that shit like that guy yelled at you. I'm cool with that.
Throw chicken legs at you.
Yeah, you can throw a chicken leg. I don't care. I'll throw it back. Take that, motherfucker. You got to out crazy these people. That's the thing. You either have to ignore them or out crazy them.
It was awful.
You either had to completely not say a word or get up while maintaining eye contact, pulling your pants down and shitting right into your hand, and then smearing it on the fucking wall next to you, and then rubbing it under your eyes like war paint. That would have been. Then he would have been like, "God damn,
we gotta go.
Yeah,
let's go."
Those are your options: ignore or that. So decide, because.
War paint shit streaks under my eyes.
Shit streak war paint, or fucking just don't say anything when someone's that crazy. So Rosie says she has evidence that she ran in the Boston Marathon.
Okay.
She's like, say what you want, but fuck you, I ran it. She says the new evidence that she ran it. She said, this is according, by the way, she now has kind of an advisor, a friend of hers now, who is calling himself her running advisor. He's talking to the media for. His name is Steve Marek, Marek. So
go on.
This guy, he's talking to him. He's saying there's evidence here. Now, the race director said, we have no new evidence. He said, I don't have any evidence, but there's a. They're saying that they're looking into disqualifying her, and she's saying, hold on, I have evidence. Marek says the new evidence comes in the form of 2 witnesses who told him they saw Ruiz running on the course at the midway mark, and before that they had no evidence of this. They said that television tapes did not pick her up anywhere on the course, and there are a couple of people that we'll talk about. He said, I've gotten a phone call from a Boston policeman who said that he could positively identify Rosie on the course around the midway mark. He said, I like their ass, I like a thick thigh. That's what I'm looking for, you know what I mean?
Like a real...
I don't like that sinewy marathon runner looking thigh, I want like a nice, something you can really bite into, you know what I mean? Some like a fried chicken leg that's just going to be like, juicy, you know what I'm talking about?
Generally, Cuban immigrants got them, so that's where I look for them.
Is that right? He said, I also got a phone call from an MIT graduate, Joe Sincata, who says he saw her at the 16-mile mark. He made a positive identification and will even go to court.
Okay.
This is Marek says. So a canvassing of the Boston area phone book couldn't find the Joe Sincata who talked to Marek. Well, he doesn't. Who knows if he lives in Boston? Yeah. So, he says that everything it's all good. Now, at this point here, they do find a faker in this race, though. A different faker, a guy here, a marathon runner named Michael Weiler Chirono of North Miami, was listed as the 28th finisher in a time of 2 hours, 21 minutes, 21 seconds, which would have qualified him for the Olympic trials.
Wow.
Yet after the race here, Bill Rogers won it in 2 hours, 12 minutes. So after the race, he was accused of running a distance, obviously running less time. And according to this guy, he appeared out of nowhere at the 22-mile mark into the race. That's where he passed him, and he said, quote, I never saw him until he caught me. I remember thinking to myself, where the hell did this guy come from? There's no way he could have been in front of me because I was running with the leaders the whole way. Then I recognized him. He was the same guy who jumped out of the crowd in the Orange Bowl Marathon on January 12th when I was riding the press bus and we threw him out of the race. He did the same thing in a New York City Marathon and got away with it. This guy's a cheat. So,
Why do people do that?
I don't understand.
And why would you cheat so hard to win 28th place?
That's the thing. Yay! I guess you could put that on a picture of that on your wall.
It's an insignificant number one, and then number two. Why would you cheat so hard that you're now qualified for the Olympics if you can't?
Yeah. Oh fuck! I got to go to the Olympics now. He said there was no Michael Weiler Chirono, which is the guy's name, entered in the marathon, but there was a Michael Chirono Weiler layman who gave a North Miami address and oh God, listed his occupation as, quote, medical doctor, MEDICLE, doctor. You know, I mean, no, right? You can't even. Medical.
He almost spelled medsicle doctor.
Medsicle. It's just a medicine popsicle. It's great. It's a medsicle, which would be a great idea for kids' medicine to be delivered.
Oh,
by the
yeah.
way. Fantastic idea to make.
Popsicle vaccines? Let's go.
Anything. Fucking
anything.
Dimetap and fucking whatever the fuck.
Popsicle Tylenol. Let's get it.
Yeah. Popsicle children's Tylenol. Especially if you have a picky kid. Like, my son would never take some of the shit, and he would fight you to the death. So that might have been a good way to do it. Anyway,
go on.
They probably have that already.
I doubt it. I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it either, but I'm sure it seems like too good of an idea.
Somewhere it exists.
So he also listed his best time at 2 hours, 14 minutes, 47 seconds, which was in this race in Oregon. And basically they found another guy from Seattle with a similar name that actually ran that time in that race. So he just said that. It's fucking pretty silly. They said they spotted him there. They said, quote, Benji and a few other people were riding in the car when they saw this guy jump out into the race about a mile from the finish line. Within a few minutes, he had grabbed a bucket of water from a woman spectator and poured it over his head to make it look like he'd been running hard. Benji and the other people started screaming for policemen to stop him, and they did. But he broke away and started running toward the finish line again. Why? You're caught. Just go away. That's when I tackled him about 100 yards from the finish line. What do you care? Who gives a shit? He can run by. I won. No, he didn't. That's it. He didn't win. Who cares?
He wasn't running in this. He popped out of the crowd. All right, we'll scratch that one.
If a guy runs onto a football field during a game and runs down and through the end zone, they don't count that as a touchdown for the other team. They just take him away, arrest him, and they restart the game because it doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? What are you tackling him for? So he's running toward the end of the race where he's going to leave then. Right. Who cares?
Is his dick out? Is he threatening women and children? Who cares? Let him leave.
There you go. Is he teabagging children as he runs by? Anybody at ball height? So then he escaped again and circled around a bank of spectators to cross the finish line, but they disqualified him, obviously, because he wasn't in the fucking race. Right. And they also recall a similar incident involving the same runner in the 62-mile race they sponsored. Holy shit. What? That is horrible. You got to walk like half of that, I would assume. He entered under the name Michael Weller Slack, and he was spotted by a number of runners cutting the course and was disqualified. Wow.
You're not forced to do this. That's the difference. Like, I would cut the mile in school because I was forced to do that shit, and I don't want to do this shit.
Yeah, you're not doing it on purpose. No. You're not volunteering. Now, he used the name Michael Slack to do that. There's an actual guy named Michael Slack who's a well-known middle-distance runner.
Wow.
So that's what first attracted attention to him. The race people said that none of us knew that Mike Slack had increased his distance, but then we saw it wasn't Mike Slack, but this Weller character. We knew something was wrong. So obviously, there's a witness though that says that he saw her.
Rosie.
They both saw Rosie Ruiz.
Uh-huh.
John H. Faulkner, who was a Harvard senior. Okay. And his classmate, Sola Mahoney, they went to the Boston Marathon in 1980. It was a warm day, as we mentioned.
Right.
So they actually, in the morning, they jogged over the Massachusetts Avenue Bridge, crossing the Charles River, and running pretty much into the race course on Commonwealth Avenue.
Okay.
So he says Bill Rogers and the leaders had just come by before we got there. It was about 2 hours and 15 or 2 hours and 20, and the male runners were coming in sporadically. At one point, he looked right. He said he looked to his right as runners were approaching, and he said, quote, "I see this woman in a yellow T-shirt sort of stumbling from the crowd onto the street."
Uh-oh.
Her arms were flailing away like she was swimming. She was just very erratic. I told Sola, and we just stood there thinking, the gall of that woman. How Harvard is that? The gall of that woman.
Blow me down.
Yeah, what kind of a family must she be from?
Yeah.
I must tell everyone at Kennebunkport in case she summers there. We never know. Fuck, man.
She runs as if she swims.
So he says that those people thought that Garreau was the first woman. He said Faulkner didn't give another thought, this guy, to the woman in the yellow T-shirt as he jogged back across to Charles to his dorm. He said, I figured that woman would just jump out before the end or somebody would stop her or whatever. She was just fucking around. That evening, though, a friend who happened to be one of Harvard's top woman runners asked if he'd heard about the marathon and who won. And I told her, I hope it's not that one woman. And basically, he knew it. He checked the newspapers the next day, and he saw that it was her. And he ended up, yeah. By the end of the week, I was tired of it and decided to visit some of my friends at Brown University in Providence. I had to get away from the madness because then he became like he's the witness. Right. So, yeah, he said, the way I look at it, I ran longer from Commonwealth Avenue to my on-campus apartment than she ran in the Boston Marathon.
Oh, shit.
So, yeah, so now May 1st comes along and her time here. The New York City guy said it's sad but true. Rosie did not finish the New York City Marathon. Then they said Boston is the most important marathon in the world, and we're especially sad because we feel somewhat responsible for what happened here. They said, if she wouldn't have done this with us, right, whatever. Now, Ruiz said, quote, I can truthfully and honestly say without hesitation that today has been the second saddest day of my life, only surpassed by the day I had to leave my father in my native country 18 years ago because they take away her Boston Marathon title. Good. They tell her she cheated, and they say, you got to return that medal. She said no, and she kept it forever. She would not. She refused to return the medal because she said that she won.
All right.
So she also says, quote, I hope the next time I run, you all watch me. If not for interest, then for curiosity to watch a woman who sprang out of nowhere only to win the most important race of her life. That sounds like a movie paragraph. Yeah. Only to win. A woman who sprang out of nowhere only to win the most important race of her life. Rosie Ruiz in Running the Cellulite from Your Thighs, starting March 21st.
Rosie Ruiz in Thunder Thighs.
in Marathon Butt.
Oh, man.
So she said, quote, I'm afraid this controversy will be with me for a long time. Well, Rosie, it's been
50 years, my love.
It's been 41 years, and here we are. So you were correct, my darling. So now there are jokes that come out about Rosie Ruiz, obviously. Did you hear about the Rosie Ruiz pantyhose?
I didn't.
Guaranteed not to run?
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Rosie Ruiz doll? Wind it up and it just stands there. These are all late night shit here.
Terrific.
Did you hear about the Rosie Ruiz deodorant? Use it and you can run 26 miles without breaking a sweat.
That's terrific.
Did you hear that Rosie Ruiz called the Free Press Marathon office to inquire about this Sunday's race? She asked for an entry blank and a bus schedule. That was Johnny Carson's joke.
That's the best one. Yeah.
These are all Johnny Carson's jokes. So that's the good one.
Yeah.
The bus schedule.
That's the closer before he moves on to the next topic.
Anyway, yeah. Anyway, Richard Nixon today. Back at his home, and it was after he was out. So anyway, he says that, wow, this is fucking amazing. He's not the first to do it, though. Let's put it that way.
Rosie isn't?
No, this is not the first one. In the first marathon of the modern Olympics in 1896, a Greek named Velikos beat a Hungarian runner for third, mind you, not for first.
For third place.
By hiding a carriage in a park. And then getting a ride to a point near the finish line where he hopped out and ran in. And then in 1904, Fred Lors rode in a car for part of the Olympic marathon.
Attaboy.
In 1979, in Boston, the 53-year-old guy named Oscar Miranda, running in only his third marathon, apparently reached the finish line in 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 31 seconds. And then they showed he ran into just like Rosie Ruiz. But they caught him like that day. Like they caught him before they did a press conference. Wow. You know, they were like, is this the right guy? And then people were like, no, he fucking jumped in. We all saw him. Yeah, get the fuck out of here, you bum.
That's the thing about that race. It is 26 miles of barricades that are lined with eyes. People are
lined with eyes. And now lined
six
with
people deep.
Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all the runners, too, are running in these little packs. They know who's around them. You know what I mean? So in May of 1980, the Boston Marathon brought Garreau back to Boston, put her up in a nice hotel, and recreated the awards ceremony and gave her a medal instead. Because she should have won. She won, actually, obviously, for the women.
Obviously, but so late.
That's what I mean. She said, quote, "It was worth it." This is Garreau. "I visited with the governor, Ed King, and he read a proclamation. Then we went to the Elliott Lounge, and there was champagne and flowers, and we sang 'Oh Canada.' Tommy Leonard has been so nice, like all the people in Boston. I can't really regret what happened here because Boston, the people are so nice there." So yeah, she said that. Fuck, that's amazing. She was a little mad.
I'm sure.
So she's in hiding, Rosie. Now she's in hiding. Now Marek, by the way, he enters races as Superman Marek instead of Steve, and runs in marathons with a fucking cape on like an idiot.
Has he ever won one?
No, of course not.
Stop it, Steve.
He's the president of Suburban Runners Road Runners Club of New York, and he said that he wears the Superman costume and he gets in running magazines that way. They take pictures of him and put him in there. So they ask him, is Rosie Ruiz with you? And she says, no, she's not with me. She's in seclusion. She's out of New York, but she's not with me here because he was like on vacation or something. So he said he met her in an elevator weeks ago before the New York Marathon. And he said, we exchanged a few words about the race. And she said, I'm Rosie Ruiz. And I said, I'm Superman. And that was it. So that's literally his quote. She said, hi, I'm Rosie Ruiz. I said, I'm Superman. And that was it. Next thing I know, she won the Boston Marathon. I got a call from a mutual friend who asked me to help her. I went over, talked to her, saw a couple of tears in her eyes and said, what the heck? So he said, I'm going to throw myself in front of these cameras and help her out. God damn it. Yeah. He's a good Samaritan. He appeared on the Today Show. He appeared on Good Morning America, The Wide World of Sports, and tons of local programs defending her. He says, I think it was probably just a dumb stunt, and you don't have to act like she's an evil person, basically.
Okay. She did it twice, Steve.
Twice. He said, quote, I defended the right for wheelchairs to be in the New York Marathon, and I defend Rosie. I can't fly, but I'm willing to try to help people. I don't know what the difference of those two are or why those would be compared to each other.
Because Superman flies, James.
Oh, that's right. He's Superman. Thank you, Jimmie. Yeah. Thank you. I never said she ran, but there was a chance she did. No one really had any good evidence that she didn't. I believe you're innocent until proven guilty. And they asked him if he ever really believed that she won the marathon, and he says, quote, I wasn't looking for sweat stains. That's not my job. Hell, the girl's Cuban. Maybe Cubans don't sweat after running marathons. Oh my God. Then again, though, her fat ass and her cellulite fucking thighs, I mean, maybe what? I don't know. Hey, you know about these fucking dirty Cubans? Do they fucking sweat after marathons or what? Yeah, you know, these dirty Cubans that come from this fucking island. Yeah, these fucking people. Wow. Yeah, what about them?
Wild thing to say to the press.
He said that to the fucking Boston Globe, Jimmie.
Did she not pop out and say, hey, Steve, stop helping me. You're not helping me.
Hell, the girl's Cuban.
What do I know? Wow. I don't know if they sweat or not.
This is wild, everything in this episode. So he said the greatest crime in sports this century is the one that's been perpetrated against Jackie Garreau because she didn't get to do it. She said, but he goes, Ruiz also, quote, had a tumor the size of a tangerine removed from her brain. Remember that?
Right.
He said, quote, she's a sick woman. I've told her to quit trying to prove herself, to run for fun, but I can't figure her out. I like publicity, but Rosie is not the kind of publicity I need. I'm used to just being Superman. Now I'm Rosie Ruiz's right-hand man.
You chose this, man.
I'm used to being Superman, though, you know.
Just like marathons, Steve, you chose this. Nobody asked you to do this.
No shit. He also says that some good will come of this. Quote, women will get better treatment in races from now on. Closer checking, separate finish lines. You'll see. He said that he's been, Merrick has been banned from any competition in New York City because of his antics in promoting Superman and his newly formed suburban club. But he doesn't care. He says, quote, I'm 6'3", 225 pounds. I wear the Superman suit to show people that running makes me feel super. I'm not a good runner. It will take me 70 minutes to finish Bloomsday, maybe 65. I'm gonna have a good day, so let's say 65. If other people see me enjoying running, then maybe they'll say, if he can do it, so can I. So yeah, okay. He said he considers himself an ambassador of jogging. Okay. He said, they said, basically, could you ever be elected to that position? But if you had to do it, would you do it over again? You're damned right. I'd defend her again. I enjoy defending the persecuted, but next time, give me an honest one. And then he says, quote, she's a sick person and she's been hushed up by her attorneys. Okay. Uh-huh. So now, May 6, 1980, she talks, basically. Merrick arranges this deal with the press with her, to arrange a little interview here. And she said that her employer gave her 4 weeks vacation with pay that she's on right now to, quote, rest and get back into training. That's what she said. So during the cab ride, she said that she started telling fucking Rosie Ruiz jokes to them. She said, did you hear about Rosie Ruiz pantyhose? And she gave all the ones I just told you. She told them all of those. They said it was really kind of weird and awkward, and they didn't know whether to laugh or if she was like angry at them or what. So this is the hours. This is before the race. Somebody talked to her, and what did you do when you got, or about hours? Sorry, they talked to her now about before the race. And what did you do when you got to Hopkinton? I got off the bus in front of the high school and walked across to the green. And then they said, you walked across the street from the high school to the green in the center of town? And she said, yeah, that's right, which sounds just like John Lovitz in John. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's the ticket. He said, you were free to get onto the road and start anywhere you wanted? And she said, yeah. And they said, Rosie, the whole street consisted of roped off sections with big signs and numbers telling you exactly where to line up. And she said, rope signs. Okay, yeah, they were there. She just, okay, yeah, great. Yeah, I'll just incorporate that in. Sure. Just like a fucking liar.
That's the ticket.
That's the ticket. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you know what else? See? Yeah. See? See? Ruiz made, also, they asked her questions. They were going off over everything with her. They said, Rosie said she walked from the high school to the center of town, and they said that's at least a half a mile, not across the street. And she said, I know. And they said, but that's not what you said. You said, and she cut him off and said, quote, look, what am I supposed to do? Remember every little detail? Next time I'll bring a camera. You'd remember every detail. I'll take pictures of my whole journey.
Yeah.
Then they said, what was the start of the race like? And she says, quote, I went out onto the street about 11:45 to noon or 10 to 12. I wasn't sure exactly where to line myself up. And they said, was there anything particularly particular or peculiar about the starting area to indicate where you could or should line up? And she said, no. And they said, were you free to get onto the road and start anywhere you wanted? And she said, yes. And then when they were like, no, there was fucking everything was roped off with signs. And that's when she said, okay, yeah, they were there. Sure. Rope signs. Yeah. Yeah, sure. That's the ticket. Then they said, they asked her, quote, do you have an attorney? And she said, no. Then they said, have you ever written a bad check? And she said, quote, she said, of course not. No.
Yeah.
They said with like good-natured contempt, like goodness me. What do you think of me? No.
Okay.
And they said, would you look at this, please? It's a Xerox of a summons requesting you to appear in criminal court for passing a bad check to a camera store. And they slid it across the camera. And she said, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, sure. See, I got arrested once. I did it on purpose. See, I wanted to check the inside of the jail so I could fill out a full report to the governor. See, because I work for the government. See, I'm a secret agent. That's the ticket. So they said, then you must have had an attorney to handle this. And then she said, sure, I have an attorney, Mr. Keating. It's like, they just asked you, do you have an attorney? You said, no. Then she was like, oh, yeah, of course I do. Mr. Keating. Yeah, that guy. Then they said, quote, is this the only bad check you ever passed? And she said, oh, yes, for sure. That's the only one. So then they confirmed that there's an existence of at least 10 other bad checks that she had written at other different times and been arrested for.
What about these?
And,
oh, yeah, those two.
Oh, and then those two. Yeah, you're right. Wow. So then there's people challenging her to races against like 60-year-old men. Other marathons are inviting her to race there.
Genius.
She's been... they want its attention.
Yeah.
She's been challenged to submit herself to tests by a University of Buffalo clinic to see if she does indeed have the stamina to run in a competitive marathon. They're just going to hook her up to machines and see if she can do it.
See if she's even capable.
Yeah, scientifically. And then the May 5th Sports Illustrated, which I read this thing, it referred to Rosie as, quote, an unscrupulous competitor subverting a sports event and being adjudged as an official winner. So, yeah, she's getting fucked around.
They're hammering her.
They're hammering her. Now, her job, you think they're embarrassed. He said her boss is a nice guy. He gave her a chance to redeem herself, is what he was saying. He gave her paid leave, like she said, for an absence to train in an upcoming marathon in upstate New York. Okay. She said, go prove him wrong. Go prove you could do it. So he said, quote, I felt I was going above and beyond for her to get back to a competitive level. I said, look, you go run the race and whatever it takes to do the job here in the office, we'll cover for you. But Rosie, you run that race, and I don't care what your time is, but finish the race. And she said she would, and well, exit stage left, is what he said.
Yeah.
So shortly after that, she came back to him and said that she couldn't run because her ankle hurt all the time.
Of course.
Got a bum ankle now. Bum ankle, I got a fat ass, I got some cellulite on the thighs. She then said that she had been training on the roads of Montauk, which the problem is that's the same route that her boss trains on, and he never saw her there. So that wasn't good. He thought, that's weird. I haven't seen her on my routes. Yeah. He said, quote, the thing about being a marathon runner is you're running 5 or 6 days a week. People see you everywhere. They think you're nuts out of your mind because that's all you do is run. So when she said Montauk, I said, gee, Rosie, tell me where you're running out there. And she couldn't. Right there, I knew that this isn't going the way that it ought to. So, finally, I said to her, Rosie, it's not making sense. All this really has nothing to do with Boston, but it has everything to do with the fact that I can't trust you. And when I can't trust you, how can I have you back in the office making large cash movements? I felt I had no choice. I had to fire her.
Oh,
so, fired for being a liar with a fat ass. So, now, Ruiz consulted an attorney and contacted the employer, MTAJ, with a request to be laid off rather than fired, and he acknowledged that that was a ploy to reap unemployment benefits or get more unemployment benefits, and he refused the request. He said no. So, MTAJ said his company actually, by the way, didn't pay for her transportation to Boston or her hotel. That was a lie that she told the press. It wasn't true. He said all they provided her with was an MTI T-shirt, which is what she's wearing when she crosses the finish line. You'll see that in the social media post. And I'll post her finishing the marathon. Her with like her arm around like a police officer who's like helping her past the finish line, after she's done. You tell me if it looks like she ran 26 miles.
Okay.
So he says, quote, as I saw it and several of my colleagues saw it, she wanted to be part of the in-group at the office, and running was her attempt at being accepted. He said that it was fun. It was a fun-spirited group we had there, everyone young and everyone running. There was corporate running challenges the whole summer. That is my nightmare. Corporate running challenge. That sounds... I would fucking kill myself. Working in a corporate environment, just in an office, because I'm terrible in that scenario. And then I have to run competitively
against colleagues. Can you just dock me 50 cents an hour and I don't have to do this shit?
Fuck that. He said it was a fun. Now there we go. So he said there was close to 100 companies had people running. It was a good girl. It was a girl trying to break through the wrong way. Obviously, the sad part was the company was very accepting. We had people who didn't run well. So what? That was okay. They found their fun with it. Yeah, but they had to run. But Rosie got all caught up with this crazy ass lying, and then she couldn't get out. I expect it changed her whole life. You'd think. Now, Bill Rogers, the winner there, he says, quote, "Great for our sport, isn't it?" Which is fucking hilarious. He says that think of the two most famous marathoners, which is, what is that? Fiddipides?
Yeah.
Fiddipides? I don't remember that.
I think that's the guy that ran.
Yeah. And Rosie Ruiz. One dropped dead and the other was crazy. He apparently raced.
Is the one that ran. He ran 2 marathon.
He ran into Athens in 490 BC and said, "Rejoice, we conquer," and then keeled over.
Right,
because he was exhausted.
Was the Battle of Marathon, and he ran from Marathon there? That's why they call it a marathon.
He was heralding Greece's defeat of Persia in the Battle of Marathon.
There you go.
That's what he did. So he ran in and said, "Rejoice, we conquer," and then he fucking died.
And his heart exploded.
It's exactly what happened. So because their diet was nothing but fat.
Yeah.
So other people are getting into the comedy aspect here. May 13th, 1980, a Moline, Illinois radio station sponsors a 26.2 meter Rosie Ruiz run. It's the
That's very funny.
Local radio station and the American Cancer Society sponsoring the first annual Rosie Ruiz 26.2 meter run to benefit the Cancer Society.
That's kicking Rosie right in the dick, too, because she had cancer.
Oh, my God. The race begins at 8:30 a.m. Saturday when a lone runner from WQUA, which is a radio station, begins a 6.2-mile run, arriving downtown at 9:30 a.m. As the runner approaches the finish line, the remainder of the entrants are invited to jump onto the race 26.2 meters from the finish line. Everyone finishes first. And all the finishers get a T-shirt showing they were first in the Rosie Ruiz 26.2 meter run. The entry fee is $2 a person. Individuals can send it in and not run at all, or they can show up with $2 and get a T-shirt. That's amazing. That's
fucking genius. I hope they raise $1 million with that shit.
I know. So then there's Runner's World magazine.
Yeah.
Okay. They're like Woodward and Bernstein of running, basically. Yeah. They go into this more than they went into fucking Watergate. Okay. Like, this is crazy. This is the Watergate of running.
Right.
So they're granted exclusive access to the medical files of her 1973-1978 operations. Details from those files were read to a physician and a psychologist specializing in brain function and were assured, as much as one can be in such matters, that Ruiz is in no way brain damaged.
Okay.
So she doesn't have brain damage, and she's obviously not schizophrenic. This is the paper. This is not me.
Mm-hmm.
This is an AP article. And she is obviously not, quote, schizophrenic, paranoid, or retarded. What else is there?
Yeah.
What else is there?
Right.
There's a lot of other things in those three things. Jesus Christ.
Just those three things she's not.
That's it. She's not. If she's not those, then what? According to Dr. Robert Becklin, a professor of psychology at Oberlin College, Ruiz's words and actions do indeed fit a very recognizable pattern. They said that the syndrome was best described by a man named Cloxley. He termed these people, quote, sociopaths.
Yeah.
Their chronic behavior frequently includes lying, stealing, defaulting on debts, yet they can seem intelligent, honest, and sociable. That's why it's a difficult disorder to diagnose in an early stage. But Ruiz would appear to be a classic sociopath in many ways. And they go over, here are the points. So a lot of people know about this, but if you don't, and you are, trying to rid yourself of sociopathic behavior around you, people around you, here's some shit to look out for, apparently. Okay, let's see if this sounds like anybody you know. Maybe it does. Who knows? Maybe it could be your husband, your wife, your fucking kids, your elected officials. Who the hell knows? Anybody. superior or superficial charm and average or superior intelligence, so not an idiot.
Right.
Absence of irrationality and other commonly accepted symptoms of psychosis, no neurotic anxiety, and unease in situations that would unsettle the average individual. No sense of responsibility, no sense of shame. Shame is a big one.
Yeah.
A cavalier attitude about telling the truth and an unflappable about lies being detected.
Oh, wow.
Just will blow right by that. Antisocial behavior with no apparent regret, poor judgment, and failure to learn from experience or punishment. There's a lot. How many people do you know like that?
A lot.
A lot.
Whole lot.
Yeah. A whole lot. That's a sociopath, everybody. And that is, if you know people, go, that sounds like so-and-so. That's why they annoy you, because they're a fucking sociopath. Get away from them, probably. This isn't like, but they're sick. That's not sick. There's no curing that. There's not like, well, he's on medication now and he's much better, He just needed some help. You can't fix sociopath.
No.
Sociopath's like pedophile. It's just, that's it. You like kids, you're one of the two. That's it. So, anyway, they said that Merrick again they find, and he says that he says, quote, she really believes she won the race still, quote, and that's sad.
Oh.
He said he objects to those who say that she tried to profit from this. He said, quote, she's been offered $10,000 just to appear at races and give out awards. There have been a couple offers for book contracts. She's turned everything down. That's why you don't know who she is, and that's why she's not as well known of a person.
From it.
Because she just ran and hid and it was never heard from again. She didn't come back and go on, like Arsenio in 91 and be like, I know, 10 years ago. Crazy, right? I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Her best running is running from the fame of it all.
Yeah. He said she turned everything down. She still runs, but obviously all the publicity affected her in a negative way. It was scathing, I would say. So then that Garreau lady, like I said, she ran into her and said she ran the fucking race. So after everything, Rosie returned to New York and went to work for Richard Stevens, Inc., because she got fired by metal traders, as we remember. It's a real estate agency. And she was well-liked by her coworkers. Former coworkers remember a time that she chased and caught a purse snatcher.
Oh, my.
Wow. She's little, too.
Yeah.
She's not a big woman at all. Like, she's a little lady. I mean, I guess she's got a big enough ass to really put some force into it, I suppose. And those thighs, you know how it works with the,
And we don't know what that purse snatcher looked like. Could have been a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. These Cubans, they'll just chase you and tackle you. That's what that one guy said, right? So then a former friend who asked the newspaper that her name not be used, which I love, said, quote, she was always into schemes. She was looking for a way to copy from one VCR to another long before anyone else ever considered doing it. Which is, as soon as a VCR came out, people were like, can I make a copy for my friend? That was immediate.
How can
Everybody
I
thought of
bootleg
that.
shit? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you get two and you put a piece of tape over a fucking non-blank one if you have a shit one, and you do all the whole deal. So she says that fellow employees also wondered how she's a bookkeeper for the real estate agency. Yeah. So she's not like an agent. She's a bookkeeper, works in the office. They wondered how she really had an extravagant lifestyle. She seemed to live high on the hog. And they were like, wow, what's she up to? One woman said, quote, she went away skiing every weekend. She lived in Greenwich Village and took cabs to work every day, which in New York, that's the divider line in New York City, or at least it used to be, of like, if you are doing very well or if you're like blue collar, is how do you get to work?
Yeah.
Subway and bus is one, and then if you just take a cab every day, that's another echelon. Yeah, regular people don't take cabs to work every day. It's expensive as fuck. But she did. Everyone believed that her brother in Florida was supplementing her income. Mm-hmm. That was the whole consensus. But then on April 20th, 1982, this is on the day of the Boston Marathon, by the way, in 1982. This is 30 minutes before the beginning of the Boston Marathon that year. She is arrested, and she is charged with grand larceny.
Oh, boy.
Yes. She is apparently been charged with grand larceny and forgery in the alleged theft of $15,000 in cash and $45,000 in checks.
That's a lot.
From her employer. The president of the real estate agency charged that Ruiz, who was a bookkeeper, obviously, he complained that on April 5th, he noticed $60,000 in cash and checks was missing. And on Monday, as an auditor was going over the real estate firm's books to determine what the fuck happened, that's when detectives caught up with Ruiz 30 minutes before the start of the marathon. So
hilarious.
So she got away. Yeah, it's fine. Like, she got away and then, like, fucking disappears into nowhere, and then she's got to scam this, which even if anybody believes she ran the marathon, now they don't believe her anymore after this. Now it becomes a pattern of behavior.
She's a thief and a swindler.
It's not good, and she's disappointed with herself. She really is, and but she's home, and she's sitting there, and she hears a knock at the door. And she's like, oh, no, are the cops going to arrest me again? Is this a fucking reporter? Yeah. And it's none of those people. It's my grandma. And she says, Ma, how is it you come to arrive here? Ma, why you here? Ma, you supposed to be nice girl. You run around, you steal the money, you go ski in the mountains like a putan. Why? Why? Why you do? Let me tell you, between me and you, your ass a little bit fat. Just a little bit, maybe. I'm just saying. Maybe you eat a little less, and maybe that's better. Why you do?
Maybe you get
I'm so sad. She's making me so upset. I can't even. And then there's dogs barking behind her. And it's Bobby Colorado, and he's there to help Grandma. Comes up, he goes, hey, don't worry, I'll take it from here. Hey, you upset the old lady. What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you upsetting fucking old ladies? You lying? You fucking stealing? This is bullshit. I don't understand you at all. I think you're full of shit.
Yeah.
I'd give you a dog, but you'd probably be like, yeah, I'll take a dog, and then you'd like say you take it, but you leave, and then you'd be tied to a fucking park bench or something. So I don't believe a word you say. You made an old lady cry. I'm very fucking disappointed in you, and I'm done with you. Get the fuck out of here. Poof. And in a poof of marinara sauce and dog shit, they're both gone. Rosie is very, 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 very confused. So next you have to wonder, is she even her?
Oh, my. Stop this.
Who she says she is. In 1980, Ruiz gave her birth name as Maria Morales.
Yeah.
Which is not true, according to her aunt, Maria Grovis, who we talked about before. She says her niece was born Maria Rosario Ruiz, and neither the name Morales nor Ruiz were. This is crazy. She's not Morales. And it's silly. So it's already believed that Ruiz sometimes uses the name M. Alvarez at that point in time.
Okay.
And she's this other woman who is the name that she went under said, I'm very sorry, but I don't recall the good woman. And the good woman had so many names, didn't she? She was a polite lady. Says, I don't know who you're talking about. This whole thing is pretty fucking ridiculous. It's surprising.
What is she doing? Is she pretending to be somebody she's not and then...
I mean,
faking running races? What is she trying to do?
The whole thing is so crazy. The only thing that's crazier is the sales, Jimmy. That's the only thing crazier are the sales going on in 1983. Oh, buddy, you can get some good shit here. Check this out. I found you got to get a car for cruising.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go out that night and cruise. I found, here we go. Here's some Harleys, Jimmy. What do you think of this? A 1946 Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
46.
Very cool.
Knucklehead.
Yeah.
All chrome. 12-inch over-wide glide, like new tires and engine and transmission, both rebuilt.
A 46?
Belt drive. 46. $3,500 firm.
That's a deal.
I would say, yeah. 77, it's a Honda. Nobody wants that. What do we got here? 77 Harley Sportster Custom, 2,500 or best offer, must sell.
Run with that knucklehead. That one's better.
That's not bad. Here we go. 69 Camaro Z28 302.
My God.
Restored, all new interior, engine completely rebuilt, radials, black and silver metallic, a real collector, $5,500.
Wow.
Oh my God. 57 Cadillac, 2-door, California car, very good condition, $1,500.
That car still ran.
Dude, we saw a 59 Cadillac that was rusted to shit sitting out somewhere, me and Sarah, and we looked it up on like Facebook Marketplace just to see what some crazy fuck would ask for it. They wanted $6,500 for it. It didn't even have an engine. It was just a rusty frame, and you could get it here in good condition for $1,500. 67 Bonneville convertible.
Okay.
Badass, $2,500. 53 Buick Roadmaster. 35,000 original miles.
What? How?
$1,500. Are you? Oh my God!
And this is in the 80s.
This is in 1983.
Wow.
63 Corvette.
Yeah.
Split window.
Yeah.
The only fucking year. The greatest 63 Corvette split window, mint condition, 327, 250 horsepower, original window sticker and bill of sale. Silver blue and blue dark interior. $12,500.
Still
$150,000 today. $150,000 that is today. Holy fucking shit. So let's say you buy yourself a nice car, you want to cruise on down, go over to what is this, a fortune teller? Yeah. Go over to Sister Graham.
Hell yeah.
Sister Graham has a picture. I'll show it to you because it's ridiculous.
If it's not three nipples, I don't want to see
Jesus
this.
with a crown of thorns. Okay, so I don't know if Sister Graham is a nun
I don't know.
or what here, but they do ESP palm reading and advice and tarot cards as well. They'll advise you on all matters.
What Jesus?
I'll tell you what you want to know about friends, enemies, and how to overpower them. What the fuck? I'll tell you how to gain the love you desire. Let me lift evil influences from your life.
Okay.
Wow. And then head on down to Sonia's Hair Boutique. Hair Unique. Okay. Sorry, not boutique. Now, in this ad, I want to show you something, Jimmy.
Let's see.
Let me turn the monitor over to you here.
Who is she?
Sonia's Hair Unique.
Yeah.
Okay? Sonia's Hair Unique. They're spelled differently.
They are.
The name, and a Y. They are an inch and a half apart in the newspaper. Just a picture of said Sonia underneath it, and on both sides of her,
she's changed how to spell her name.
She's changed how to spell her name. Yeah, but her most recent workshop being the Alabama-sponsored Gulf States Hair Show in Birmingham.
Oh,
so
boy,
go on out there, and then head on over to a restaurant called What a Potato.
Okay.
What a Potato.
Sounds like something Gordon Ramsay calls you when you fuck up.
That's a potato. Oh.
The salmon's undercooked. What a potato.
What a potato. So, What a Potato. Tuesday is sirloin tip day with onions and peppers or mushroom sauce and choice of potato bar or French fries and sizzling bread. Only $2.79.
That's a deal.
Wow.
Who chooses fries over a potato bar?
Yeah, you get a free potato bar with any steak dinner.
Yeah.
Potato bar items come with 8 great toppings.
That is awesome.
And then you're full of potatoes. Head over to the movies that day in 1983 in November, where you can go see A Christmas Story playing in the theater. You'll shoot your fucking eye out. Wow.
And it's the original showing of it. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's an 83 movie. You can go see A Night in Heaven, which isn't a porn. It's rated R. Looks like Matt Dillon, but it's a newspaper picture, so I can't really tell. Then we have Tom Cruise in All the Right Moves.
Wow.
After that, Chevy Chase in Deal of the Century.
It's a good movie.
Richard Pryor, Here and Now.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi is playing as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Never Say Never Again. What do we got here? Rumblefish with Matt Dillon. That is a Matt Dillon movie. Girls' Night Out. And Mary Steenburgen in Cross Creek as well. Amityville 3D is playing.
Cool.
You can go see Flashdance. Here we go. 48 Hours is playing.
Oh,
Fuck
yes.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. In the theater. Badass. The Man from Snowy River, and The Verdict you can see, and then Dudley Moore and Mary Steenburgen in Romantic Comedy, whatever the fuck that is.
Some movie that Dudley Moore's in.
You're too cheap to go to the movies? Well, at home, I'll show you this advertisement for CBS at home. We've got the touch. Watch the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather, and then holiday treats tonight, classic creatures, Return of the Jedi, with scenes from Return of the Jedi, E.T., King Kong, Godzilla, and more. Hosted by Carrie Fisher and Billy D. Williams.
Terrific.
Wow, that's going to be great. Then on Newhart, Dick invites the whole town for turkey. So that's going to be
That'll be a calamity there.
Too many people, not enough turkey. It'd be a problem. So
the 80s, man. That's bad movies. That was a lot of bad movies.
The early 80s, a couple of good ones in there, but a lot of bad ones. Mid 80s though started to get better. Once 84 came around, there's a shitload of good movies from 84, 85.
86
they start to turn good, man. Yeah, they really
start. The early 80s was brutal.
Yeah, other than Night Shift, which is my favorite comedy. Other than that, there's not a lot. There's a few, I'm sure, but Vacation, National Lampoon's Vacation was out then. Brewster's Millions was 84.
That's why Star Wars crushed, because there was fucking nothing else. I'm convinced of it. I saw very little Star Wars. Those movies, those are terrible movies.
But at the time, if you were a kid at the time, nothing else was like that. I could see it at the time. It bored the piss out of me. I know we're in the minority. Yeah. I get it. You don't like Star Wars? No,
I've never seen them all the way through because I fucking fell asleep watching every single one.
Pass out mid Star War. Any Star War you line in front of me, that war will put me to sleep. I am done with that.
10 to 15 minutes of your War of the Stars, and I'm done.
Well, I took my little brother to see the Phantom Menace one, the episode 1. They have that pod race with all this crap. I fell asleep in the middle of it and slept for the rest of the fucking movie because it was terrible. So now Rosie gets sentenced here because she pleads guilty and everything. She is sentenced to, you ma'am, may fuck off. 5 years probation for Rosie.
For the
slap
checks?
on the wrist for the checks and the cash that she stole from her job. Now, I assume she doesn't have that job anymore.
You gotta assume.
She's got to find something else to do, and apparently she did, because in November of 1983, November 1st, as a matter of fact, she is part of what is being called an all-girl cocaine ring.
Awesome.
An all-woman cocaine ring here.
She's ahead of her time.
She really was. She surrendered a few days after everyone else got caught because she wasn't at the airport where everyone else got caught. Okay. She was being held on a $25,000 bond. 2 other members of the drug ring were arrested last week. Her lawyer, William Castro, said she would plead innocent, and she didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. Her 2 co-conspirators, Olga Bustamante and Marga Upegui, who we'll talk about her in a little while here, they agreed to sell about 2 kilos of fucking coke, basically a little over 4 pounds of coke, to undercover detectives for $52,000.
Wow!
And Bustamante delivered the cocaine and to a hotel, and she was arrested. And a short time later, the Upegui was picked up as well, where she worked as a waitress. So she was working as a waitress and trying to sling coke, so she didn't have to work as a waitress probably. So, it's not good. They said that Ruiz, obviously she's the one who anybody gives a shit about because she's famous for doing this shit. She was, like we said, arrested before this, and she's in kind of deep shit here. This is only 19 months after the original mess, and she spends 23 days in a Miami lockup here. Then she marries a guy. Okay? Before the case is over, she marries a man named Acario Vivas, Vivas, in January of 84. And I don't know if he gets her out or what the fucking deal is, but she marries this guy. And in February of 84, she is sentenced. It's a shitload of coke, then you're selling it. You, ma'am, may fuck off 2 years.
Wow.
Probation.
Wow.
So she has lucked the fuck out.
Gender inequality as fuck. Good for her.
That is one thing, and I'm going to lead this off by saying, yes, fucking women have it horrible compared to men and all that stuff. The only place that you have an advantage, besides maybe, whatever, certain social situations, is the fact that
the courtroom.
Don't fuck.
Oh, boy.
Statistically, you get way lower sentences than guys do. Just way lower. Way fucking lower.
And way higher child support. So good for you.
Well, because part of being sexist as a guy is feeling like you need to protect women, and that's part of it. So you benefit in that way of if you sell a bunch of cocaine, you only get 2 years probation, even if you're a fucking already on probation for 5 years for stealing a shitload of money.
That is wild.
So it happens. So William Castro, the lawyer, said afterwards, quote, when I was arguing to get her released on bond, I deadpanned to the judge, quote, Your Honor, she's not a runner.
No. Look at that ass, Your Honor.
Look at her. Turn around. Show her your thighs. So she moved to West Palm Beach with her new husband.
Wow. She's doing great.
Yeah, she's doing fantastic. But the problem is her apartment ends up being repossessed in West Palm Beach in 1987.
Really?
So, yeah, she gets basically foreclosed upon. And she only married that one guy, and she was apparently Vivas, the guy she married, was divorced on December 8th, 1983, and then married her January 20th, 1984.
Wow.
Which is really, really weird. And this was 72 hours before she was released on $25,000 personal surety bond co-signed by him. Mm-hmm. So she married, the guy was like, I'll get you out, but you got to marry me.
That's weird.
It's like Jimmie Iovine with Tupac. Like, I'll get you out, but you got to record 5 fucking albums or some shit.
Did he need a citizen to marry or something? What was happening?
He was already married. I don't think so.
That's right.
He got to get a goddamn divorce to marry her. I don't know. So now there's a medical investigation, by the way, because the press is still interested in her.
Sure.
And basically, they find that the operations were performed by Dr. Federico Marrero in Florida, and that's his wife had never heard of this woman, but she didn't know all the patients. The husband had died already, the surgeon. So she said she couldn't recall whether Ruiz was one of her husband's patients. They said he was the first and for many years the only Cuban neurosurgeon in Miami, in Florida. So Cubans came from all over the country to her husband, she said. So maybe Ruiz was one of them. Who the fuck knows? So in the 90s, they catch back up with Steve Merrick.
Yeah.
He is a marriage counselor now.
Oh, boy.
This guy's going to tell you about your relationship. He finally tells the Boston Globe that 6 to 9 months after the race, Rosie finally admitted to him that she snuck into the marathon in its final stages. She said that she doused herself with water to make it look like as she was perspiring, and then she entered the race between Kenmore Square and the finish line. He said, quote, she jumped out of the crowd not knowing that the first woman hadn't gone by.
Oh, no.
Believe me, she was as shocked as anyone else when she came in first.
She didn't even try to win.
She wasn't trying to win. She was like, oh, shit.
Whoops.
They were like, you won. And she was like, oh, fuck.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Didn't want to do that. She just wanted to look cool at work.
Yeah.
And like finish in the top, whatever the fuck. That's all it was. So he said, believe me, she was as shocked as anyone when she came in first. But at that point, they had put the crown on her and gave her the medal and told her she's the winner. How could she say, no, I'm not?
Yeah.
She could say, no, I'm not. He says he remembers saying to her months later, obviously you didn't run it. And she looked at me and said, I'm embarrassed to say it. Why do I have to tell you? It was something much like that, to paraphrase. I don't have to tell you, Steve. I think you know, something like that. Yeah. And he says, I might be the only person that basically that she told that said anything about it publicly. He says, quote, I believed what she was saying for a month or so. And hey, let's face it, the BAA did a poor job of monitoring the female side of the race up till Rosie ran.
True.
Really, they didn't give a poop what the ladies did. Not poop one about these ladies. No poops, Jimmie. None.
Not a single poop.
Not a single poop. I have to say, though, that Will Cloney was a wonderful man through it all. I was there when he wanted the medal back, but Rosie was adamant. She really believed at that point. I think that she had run it. He thinks she believed it. And Will said to her, "Go ahead and keep it, honey. That's okay." He looked at me and winked as if to say, look, she's had enough trouble. Just let her go. Like, it's not worth it. It's a medal. Who gives a shit?
Who gives
It's who gives a poop? It's just milk chocolate wrapped in a gold foil anyways. Who cares?
It's going to melt on the plane.
Doesn't matter. So Ruiz, he says that he said that he would defend her under the same circumstances, though. He said, as much as I took it on the chin up there at the time, people didn't like me in Boston because they feel like their race is so sacrosanct. I simply felt it was a woman who was reaching out for help. And I thought, gosh, if this were my sister, would I want her to go at it alone? Of course not. I'd want someone to help her.
That's nice.
So I gave in to her poop. Now, obviously, I mean, she's got some sort of issues, and there's something going on here. She hasn't hurt anybody. That's the thing. Other than stealing money from her boss, she sold some coke to people who wanted coke, and she fucking,
wrote some bad checks.
She ruined somebody's marathon experience that they didn't get to be declared the winner at the spot of the race. Right. That's it. But other than that, she didn't fucking hurt people physically. She didn't ruin anybody financially. You know what I mean? Like anything like that.
But why is she doing this?
She's got problems. That's what I mean. So you almost feel bad for her. You know what I mean? It's close. I mean, almost, but not nearly as bad.
Oh, dear Christ.
As you feel for Rosie Ruiz, senior financial aid counselor at Claremont Graduate University in Claremont, California.
You're going to read every single one, right?
No. There's like 700. Rosie Ruiz, graphic design major in Illinois. Rosie Ruiz, owner, Havana House Cafe in Florida. Yeah. Oh, boy. Rosie Ruiz, legal assistant, which is what she needs. Yeah. Rosie Ruiz, virtual administrative assistant in Corpus Christi, Texas. Rosie Ruiz, president and owner at Stay in Gold Cocktails in L.A. Rosie Ruiz, service consultant at Mercedes-Benz of Coral Gables in Florida. She has a perfect 5-star rating and 32 reviews.
Wow.
And she's worked there for 12 years and 2 months. She's doing great.
Unless she wrote all those reviews.
Well, here's one. Rosie is extremely professional, courteous, responsive, and always goes out of her way to make things work. Amazing customer service. She's a true asset to your team. Oh, boy. And finally,
really runs
someone you
the
need
extra mile.
She just runs that extra mile. Well, she'll only run 1 mile for you, but it's extra. Yeah. Finally, the person you have to trust, Rosie Ruiz, real estate agent in Crystal River, Florida. It's like, oh, Jesus, this poor woman. 1996, she's finally found for an interview. Okay. Again, and she, they find her, but they don't interview her. At this point, she is with her at, quote, longtime life companion, Marta Epiguay, the woman she got caught selling coke with. She's now been with her this whole time. Okay. So I don't know what the fuck's going on here. So she was very surprised to see press found them. Right. She said, this is Upiguay, said, quote, "Who told you? How did you find us? Who told you this is where she lives?" So they were very, very surprised.
Not keen on talking.
In 1998, she claims she has proof that she ran the marathon.
Okay.
Now she's got proof. She says that she has photographs. She said her victory was a triumph for women in sports, and she won't have it cheapened. She won't, Jimmy.
Okay.
She said the medal is tucked safely, but she won't say where, in case they want to come for it. She said, "It hurts me to know I did something good, but I got so many problems out of it." She said she's reluctant to go public with the evidence because she's just no one's going to take her seriously. She said she got divorced in '86, but kept her new name, so she's going by Rosie Vivas now. And she said she's a client representative for a medical lab company, and she's been, they said, quote, she's been running from controversy for nearly 2 decades. Right. Did you have to put it like that? She's also been sued by landlords a bunch of times. She had a couple of foreclosures. She claims that the short hairstyle she wore in 1980, that's the reason. She goes, it's all about the hairstyle. It's ridiculous. She says, and to prove it to you, I'm going to race again.
Okay.
The whole time she was doing these Jerry Seinfeld. I always hold off on Seinfeld references because you haven't seen it, but there's this one where Seinfeld, he got an early start on this race in middle school or elementary school or something and beat this guy who thought he was faster. And he runs into him later, and the guy challenges him to a race. And Jerry, because nobody saw him get the head start, everyone thought he was like the fastest person in the world. So rather than just say, no, I got a head start, he just never raced again. And he said anytime someone would ask him, he goes, not even to the end of the block or for a bus. Anytime they'd ask me, I'd say, I choose not to run. So he goes, the track coach called my house telling my parents it was a shame. It was a sin for me to waste my God-given talent. It's so fucking funny. I choose not to run. That's what she's been doing. She says that she'll be 44 by the 1998 marathon.
She's ready to go?
The 2000 marathon.
Okay.
She says that she's going to run in 2000. It's 98 now. She said, I may not win this time, but I will be there and run again the entire course just as before.
Okay.
Yeah. She said, I'm going to do it by the book. She says, what I can promise myself and the American public who believes in me is to run again. I may not win this time, but I'll be there and I'll run again. That's that. So she said, this time I'll be more prepared. You know, I'll look just like any other runner. I'm sure they won't make a mistake this time.
Okay.
She's like, I'm going to be like, have a sign coming up. I'm Rosie.
I'm going to have a ponytail, my makeup done.
Yeah, all of it. So 2000s, people are looking for Rosie again, and they find her brother who gives people her beeper number, and they beep her, and then she won't call back, and then she does answer, and then she yells at you and fucking hangs up on people. Sometimes she wants to talk, sometimes she doesn't. Her partner there said, quote, I didn't know her then, but I know she would like to forget about it. It's very painful for her. I don't feel like I have the right to talk about her personal life. And then she said, quote, how do you know my name? And they said, well, they said because it's on a computer search, so you guys have the same address. Right. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
Because you're in a relationship and you guys are together.
You know, so they talked to Wayne State College in Nebraska, and to try to find her. And the director of college relations said, quote, we have no idea where she is. She's not in Wayne, I can tell you that. She's not the most distinguished alum of this university. We don't want to talk about her.
Barely alum, right? For alum, don't you got to graduate?
I think so. Be there a little longer. So her lawyer says she's not a bad lady. The one who got her off on she's not a runner, Your Honor. Yeah. He says, Castro's his name, he says that he highly doubts that Ruiz continued down a path of grand theft and forgery and drug dealing. He said being a criminal wasn't what she was about. He says she's smart. If I were guessing, I would say sales were her calling. Yeah, she can convince people anything.
Yeah, she'll sell you a load of shit.
Sociopaths are great for sales.
Absolutely.
It's true. They really are. So Castro has been suspended from the Florida bar, by the way, her lawyer, pending his appeal of a conviction for kicking back pro bono fees to Dade County Circuit Judge Roy Gelber.
Wow.
He was one of 4 attorneys caught in the scam that totaled $120,000. Wow. Her former attorney also believes that Ruiz might enjoy the lingering questions about her run in Boston and that sort of thing. He said, quote, there's a tease in it, an element of the mischievousness of the unknown.
Yeah.
He thinks that's what she's about. He has her beeper number, though, and he said he was trying to make contact with her and all that sort of thing. He says that there were people who read about Boston and then her arrest for the cocaine charge. For some reason, I guess they were fascinated. They wanted to establish a relationship, sometimes men, sometimes women, suggesting maybe writing a letter. It could start a friendship, and perhaps it could lead to something else. Some, as a sign of being earnest, they would send her money if she wrote back. I only kept a few. It goes without saying that most were without sentence structure, in some cases without thought structure. Reading them is like sliding down a mountain, painful, slow, and tedious about these letters. He says that she never intended to win, but he only thinks she wanted to jump in and finish at a time and then return to her job in Manhattan and say, hey, look at me, I finished the race, and have all of her friends think she was cool. That's it. He said, quote, had she waited another 5 minutes that afternoon, her life would have been completely different.
Yeah.
Which is true. He said, I feel okay saying this because, like Rosie, I'm Cuban. But we have an expression, we call it Cuban time. For example, if a Cuban says see you at 7:30, then everyone knows it means 8 o'clock. Maybe that was Rosie's problem. She was wearing her American watch that day and not her Cuban watch. If she had been wearing her Cuban watch, maybe everything would have turned out all right. Okay.
Did he just... Wow.
Yes, he did.
He can't do that.
I mean,
even if you're that, you can't say that.
I guess. I don't fucking know. I'm just going to go past that. I have no idea. I don't know how to parse that. Cubans, figure that out amongst yourselves. I don't know.
There's Cuban people's time? Is that what he's saying?
Yeah. He said CPT,
it's Cuban
but
people's time.
Cuban people's time is what he said.
Okay.
Yeah, he goes, CPT, Cuban people's time.
Okay.
It's weird as fuck. And yeah, so that's not coming from us, by the way. That's coming from him. Nobody fucking yell at us for that shit. He claimed that, not us. So she's found at one point. Yep. They find her. Listen to this. They said out of the car came, this is when they go to her house, she pulled up in her car. This is the reporter for the Boston Globe. Out of the car came Ruiz, looking much as she did in April 21st, 1980, dressed in a T-shirt and running shorts, identical in tone and shine to the car. Her hair was still jet black, her Bumbeck-like legs thicker and more Bumbeckian with age.
That's a fascinating
This poor
word.
woman has got to be really self-conscious about her thighs at this point. I would be... Fuck, I'd feel terrible about myself.
Like a Cuban Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, real thick-thighed. So... they said, Rosie, and she said, yes, who are you? And she said, I'm with the Boston Globe. Ruiz said, what are you doing here? What do you want? And she said, I'm writing a story about the 1980 Boston Marathon. And Ruiz said, I'm not interested, tucked her head down and walked past.
Yeah.
That was that. That was that. Ruiz said, they said, are you sure? And she said, I'm sure, and slammed the door behind her. In 2007, 8, or 9, somewhere around there, the late aughts, Rosie's diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, no.
Not sure what type of cancer, but on July 8th, 2019, Rosie dies at age 66.
Fuck!
Of cancer, which sucks. That sucks. Yeah, you don't want her to die. She never hurt anybody.
No.
That's what I'm saying. So her death went unnoticed for about a month until after details were posted from the funeral, or from certain details were posted on the website, and that's what made reporters put 2 and 2 together. She tried to keep it quiet. They said a funeral is not scheduled due to Rosie's final wishes. There was a funeral home that makes no mention of the marathon or anything like that, but they said she would always want you to remember to celebrate life, because tomorrow is never promised. Never forget to fight, no matter what life throws your way. And So
when did she die?
2019.
What month?
June 8th, or July 8th.
Okay.
July 8th, 2019.
You know what she's doing, right? She's postponing it till the next year around April so that somebody can spread her ashes at the finish line.
Yeah, she's going to be like, I won now, bitch.
That would be rad. That would be the greatest fuck you to everybody.
That's great. So Rogers, the winner there, that guy, he says Rosie Ruiz is the most famous runner of all time. Really, to the general public and the media, everybody knows about Rosie Ruiz. I think it's kind of funny, to be honest. Another
pretty funny.
Another runner said, you knew she lied, but like a kid, when you lie, you stick to it. She got caught. I don't think she meant to finish first. She was out of her realm. Thinking about it, I feel bad for her. Poor thing. I hope at some point she was happy.
Yeah.
That was one of the runners that finished behind her. That was like 5th or something. Castro, her lawyer, said, quote, she was a character. She had personality and she was very industrious. I would say so.
She rode the subway instead of running the marathon.
Fuck
yes,
that's
she's industrious.
Something. Can't get enough.
Oh.
Fake winning a marathon. Be the next Rosie Ruiz. Who knows? Give it a shot.
It is hilarious that she did it.
It's wild. Or I found this book that I don't recommend that you buy, because it's literally just newspaper articles like on the page, and I've gone through everything from every newspaper article ever written about her, so you've heard anything that's in this book. But if you want to see a bunch of pictures of her and of the articles and stuff, it's called Rosie Ruiz Shortcuts to Fame, and it's 12 euros, so you can try that there. It's just newspaper clippings. But that, everybody, is Rosie fucking Ruiz and her thick-ass fine thighs on her.
What a story.
That shit's crazy, right?
That's the funniest goddamn thing that we've ever covered. That's hysterical.
Fucking bonkers, that story. I'm telling you.
She pulled it off twice.
You know? Twice.
She cheated.
One leading into the other. And I dude, when I found this story a while back, I had it as like a bonus episode, but then when I looked into it, I'm like, there's too much here for a bonus,
it's
man.
So good.
You'd skip over all the good stuff if it was a bonus. Oh, she faked this. She got arrested. Okay, whatever. Who cares about that? I want to hear about people running behind her going, I was checking every posterior side of every woman that passed me. Wow.
I saw every cellulite divot and every thigh on that course. I never saw that one.
Never saw that one. It's bullshit. So that said, if you like that show, everybody, give us 5 stars. Tell the world about it.
Yeah.
For 500 episodes of shows here, tell everybody that you like the damn show on Apple Podcasts. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com for everything small town murder and crime and sports. All of your merchandise is there. Tickets to live shows. They're stacked out. Get your tickets right now because A, they're going fast, and B, a lot of them are already gone to begin with from being sold when we first announced the tour a year and a half ago before the whole world went crazy and shut down and we didn't go anywhere and shit was nuts. So
and we're hoping
here
this all reverse courses and we get fucking back to you. So fingers crossed.
We're dying
Let's
to do this. So we want to see you, everybody. So get your tickets right now for that. Follow us on social media. We are at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. Patreon, my goodness, patreon.com/crime and sports. Do we have some doozies for you this week, as usual? And as always, you get access to all the shows, Small Town Murders bonus, Crime and Sports bonus. Right. They all kind of go together anyway. So you get access to everything if you're over the $5 mark. And this week, the 2 shows are for Crime and Sports. We are going to do the congressional steroid scandal of the mid-2000s there because we're doing cheating. So I figured we would talk about that.
The real cheater.
And it's hilarious to hear these indignant people. How dare you accuse me of this when it's just all you were doing? So we'll make fun of some baseball players.
Multi-million-dollar cheats.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have never, ever. And then for Small Town Murder, I've never looked this forward to a bonus episode. We're going to do a bonus episode about Ted Bundy, and if there's a few different psychological factors we want to discuss, but the main thing is if he had just a few more pairs of socks, would it have been okay?
Could it have been reversed? Could the course of life been changed?
Yeah. It sounds strange, but when you hear from him in his interviews and everything, we'll get into that and some of the psychology of Ted Bundy. But the first and foremost and most interesting thing is what the fuck with the socks, and we'll get into it. Socks and underwear too, but mainly socks.
Yeah.
Holy shit. It sounds like you're like, what the fuck, socks? Trust us. It's crazy. It's just as crazy as it sounds. So you can get that and everything else, all the whole back catalog you'll have access to at patreon.com/crime and sports. Anybody over the $5 level, like we said, patreon.com/crime and sports. You'll also get a shout out because we love you if you're doing that. Yeah. You're a member of the squad here. You're a producer. So Jimmie will mispronounce your name at the end of the show, actually very shortly here.
Yeah.
And then even if you donate on PayPal, you can get a shout out that way. You're a producer. So no matter what, we're appreciative of it. That said, Jimmie, I think maybe, I could be crazy here, but I think maybe it's time to hit me with the names of my favorite fucking people on the face of the earth. Jimmie, level me with them like a goddamn baseball bat right now.
This week's executive producers are Jordan Bennett, Gabrielle East Lopez, John Harper, and the IT team. Cameron Kushwara, you're the producer of the week, Cameron. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Unbelievably kind of you. Thank you.
Amazing.
Carol Braun sticking around. And this one,
thank you, Carol.
Zoncheadle, I think. No.
Zoncheadle? All right.
It's with an X? I don't know. And Carla Dayhoff. Dayoff? She got a day off? Dayhoff. I can't pronounce that right.
Shit,
That'll
you.
never happen. You guys
Either way, appreciate
are
you.
terrific. Thank you so much. Other producers this week are Samantha Quigley, Annalena Holmberg. Heather Knight is celebrating her divorce. Congratulations.
Hey, congrats.
Martin Principal Olson, Jess Campanella, Serena Lee, Isabella Simpson's brother. Nope, her sister, Naomi, had a birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Alexandria Krutkowitz, Janice Hill, Harry Rubin, Thomas DeMello, Matthew Webster, Sarah Surridge, Thomas Smith, Reverend Lindsay King, Frau Blucher, Crystal Osig, Natalie Yulvin, Daniel Tebow, and he went to Mel Hall's high school. Lauren Demarath, Cody Leversey got engaged. One day, maybe we'll celebrate his divorce. Hopefully not. Cody's terrific.
Good luck.
Under the Sea Fabrics, Tiffany Gonzalez got one by us last week with Steve Martin's name in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Was it Neil?
Yeah.
Neil, not Griffin. That was fucking John Candy.
Dell.
Yeah, Dell Griffith. But she said Neil was last week. I forget his last name. Doesn't matter. James Martyr, Aeneas, Roan. Neither of those are right. I apologize.
Neither one.
Corporal Carl Kirshner had a deer commit venicide with his car, so he's dealing with that. Larry Cooley, Jamie Hammer, Deborah Scaramastro. Nope, it's Italian, right?
Yeah, you're out on that.
Alan Westfall, Mary Case, Karen Foster, Kessia Isaacson, Tony Espinoza, Dave Parker, probably not that one. Emma Pfeiffer, I think that's Michelle's sister. S. Pence, Jessica Hansen, Kathy with no last name, Terry Burrows, Michelle Utzinger. Jesus. Ryan Rice, Sarah Mallet, Nicolaj Olson, Nicholas? I don't know. Melissa Turgeon, Joseph Mayfield, Margot Christensen, Casey Donaldson, Helen Black, Kinson Anna, Miranda Vauder, Cheryl Kate, ALB, Matt Amoros, Andrew Davey, Angie Bray, Kaya Meineke, M. Norton Matthews, Ayumi loves K-pop. I imagine that Korean pop music. Brooke Fowler,
I would think so.
That felt like I was an old man. That goddamn Korean pop music.
That's the Korean music they're putting out nowadays there.
Shelly Mercado, Maya Cox, Tukaniner, Sally with no last name, Amelia Rose, Gilly, Brooks Miller, Joshua with no last name, Justin, John Jacob, Jingleheimer, Schmidt Bauer, Mary with no last name, April Bender over. Brandon Beasley, Vincente Perez, Sharna Matthews, Tyler Munson, Chuck Smith, Still Usher, Johnny Betancourt, Caitlin Kreider, Cale Crowan, David Hannon, Carol with no last name, Karen Rigora, Rob Diaz, Drew Biddle, Aaron Smith, Sarah Dermer, Tori Alicia, Bree Scala, Jenny Tetford, Tara Hammond, the dork of the plains, Laura Sanchez, Jessica Lopez, Michael Best, Kimberly with no last name, Peggy Fernbach, Jill Rydell, Lori Jean Cook, Anthony Philpo maybe, Ash with no last name, also Kara with no last name, Daniel Bickerton, Jason Gladney, Kiara Tyus, Finn Atkins, Jessica Sturdy, Nicole Atherton, Tyler Mouse, oh boy, Donald with no last name, Evan Hoffman, Kellen Highfield, Matt Kleeman, Cade B, Emmanuel Ofori, Nathan Franks, Ian and Stacy Ferenci, Donna Sepulveda, Austin Lynch, Jennifer Cool, Kiara Gruff. There has been 3 or 4 of those. Stephen Looper, Tamara King, Jessica Christofferson, Mandy Bruff, Brian Rice, Sarah Pacindo, Sari Theobaldi, Mason Judge, Grant Anderson, Crinson Mertz, Shane Hirschman, Laura Sauter, Lauren, Linehan, that's Nick D'Amico, Walter Fritz, Brandon Geyer, Lindsay D, Katie Kriener, Richard Doyle, Bailey Myers, Haley Craighead, Brandy Minard, Gerard with no last name, Gabrielle Montoya, Joey Hepler, Hadrian Ringstad, Kent, Deanna Menarak. Boy, oh boy.
You're on a roll.
This isn't very good at all. Hannah Weiss, Livia Bernard, Lisa Schwartz, Bennett Bode, Overlord Whiskey, Casey Utter, Adam Mitchell, Rebecca Flowers, Aaron Kilgore, Nathaniel Minocci, Christy Telton, Whitney Tollett, April Wheeler, Anna Tessling. Boy, Stephanie Zobak, Jim Briggs, Emily Smith, Kathy Bader, Lauren Haish, Mona Davis, Andrew Grieve. This episode also brought to you by the letter D. Darren Morin, Chance Huberty, Allison Parr, Jessica with no last name, Michelle Campbell, Kyle Wilson, Christina Kolsch, Louise Butler, Rachel Kuntz, Michael Brown, Neil Coker, Chris Calloway, Christine Golke?
Yeah.
Yep.
One of those.
Scott Engel,
like
Corrine Darcy, Sammy McCoy, Chanel Lounsbury, Eric Picouch, Michelle
Pick up the cooch.
Michelle Ramirez, John Kelly, Noah Pope, Robert Rose now, and all of our patrons. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, from the bottom of our shriveled, cold, dead hearts. We really do appreciate it, and that does really warm us up in the old chest hole.
Yeah.
So thank you for everything you do for us. So we really do appreciate it. Jimmie, what if they wanted to tell you something either nice or insulting? How could they find you?
Tickle my rib cavity at Whisman Sucks, WHIS. Sucks. What about you, James?
You could find me at Jimmie P is funny, or just copy and paste, or just Google the show, and you'll find it'll say who the hosts are. It's not like they're going to hide that from you on a post. So, and then you can follow it from there, and there's all sorts of links, and you'll find us on there. That said, it's been a fucking adventure, and this is what I wanted for our 500th episode.
No shortcuts?
Something a little different. Taking no shortcuts. That is our motto.
We
for the
run
next
the whole
500.
course.
We run it all. 500 episodes worth, and we're going to do another 500 all the way to the fucking finish line. Fuck the world, fuck your mothers, and fuck the Boston Marathon. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week, everybody.
Bye.
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from Law and Crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus